No, I don't think so. I'm running.
Giant.
What? What the fuck? Who comes up with these?
With Halloween right around the corner, hopefully, if this video is done on time.
Oh,
what
wait.
better way to celebrate
Perfect
than to
timing.
tackle one of the most beloved horror game series of all time, Silent Hill. Now, while I'm going to try to cover this as in-depth as I can, do note that most of the Silent Hill games feature a bevy of multiple endings, and in this video, I'm going to feature what I, as well as many others in the community, personally feel to be the best or most accurate ending to each game's story, but I will occasionally mention some other of the ending's possibilities in passing. This does not include the secret UFO joke endings.
UFO endings? So what?
Now, I'm going to try to keep things as chronological as I can, but as I always do in this series, I'm going to focus mostly on the events of the games themselves, touching on relevant background lore as needed. As such, some events may be covered a bit out of order, just to keep certain reveals and twists intact.
Okay.
Do note that I will be covering the remake/reimagining Silent Hill Shattered Memories on its own at the end of the video due to its story existing in a completely different universe than the mainline titles.
Wow,
also, given that the now
this franchise is really big.
PT of the canceled installment Silent Hills is Konami's final release Silent
There's a canceled Silent Hill. Wait, what?
property as of this video's production. I'll touch on that as well. However, some games, namely the mobile installments, will not be covered.
The mobile games? Wait, what?
I will also be skipping over the 2 Silent Hill films, as they are also
There are Silent Hill movies?
unrelated to the narrative of the game series. However, as a bonus, I will be covering the various Silent Hill comics that have been
There
released
are
over the years
comics?
through IDW, and I'll try to fit them into the narrative as best I can, but take them with a grain of salt as their canonicity is debated amongst the community. There are also some Japan-exclusive comics that I'll be skipping since
And
I couldn't get my hands on
Japan-exclusive
them.
comics.
Also, I'm not
Holy
covering
shit.
Dead by Daylight Silent Hill DLC. You can feel free to
Dead by Daylight has a Silent Hill DLC? How big is this franchise?
complain about everything I'm missing in the comments. Oh, and by the way, given that this is yet another huge undertaking, I've once again enlisted the help of the best Let's Play channel on YouTube, the 2-Bit Players.
Oh,
All
sweet
right,
club.
Josh, I'm excited. I learned my lesson this time. No more swearing.
Oh, no swearing.
That's
okay.
right, Jeffrey's
no
been
swearing.
practicing. We're ready to go. Let's do this.
Now, with quite possibly the most disclaimer-filled intro I've ever done out of the way, without further ado, this is what you need to know about Silent Hill.
All right, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Our story begins in the year 1867, where we find settlers Jebediah Foster and his pregnant wife Esther traveling to Silent Hill. On their way, they meet the town's postmaster, Howard Blackwood, who is on his way to the nearby town of Shepherd's Glen. He welcomes them into the town and wishes them luck before riding off, leaving them to enter the town of Silent Hill. The pair ride through the town and find Esther's family home, where they begin to settle in. As Jeb throws away a ruined chair in the nearby woods, however, a strange skeletal creature watches over him. He makes his way to the barn as the creature follows, where he finds a jar of whiskey, which reminds him of a contract hit job he had taken previously. Just then, he hears Esther scream from inside the house, and he runs in to investigate, finding a Native American woman with bloody hands on the floor. She states that the whiskey is her first gift, referring to some unknown third party. As Jeb runs off to find bandages for the woman's cuts, she speaks with Esther, warning her that Jeb is a man who has done evil things, and their baby may turn out to be the same. She then leaves the knife she cut herself with as she walks out of the house, referring to Jeb as Hell Rider. At night,
This is so weird. Okay, so just to quickly recap for myself so I get this right. Hang on. So there's Jeb and Esther. They move into this town called Silent Hill. Esther was in the house when she screamed. Jeb comes in and finds this Native American woman
with bloody hands on the floor.
Okay, we don't know who this Native American woman is, but apparently the whiskey that Jeb found was a gift from her, and that she's warning Esther about about the bad deeds of her husband, basically. But are we not like concerned on who this is? Like, is Jeb just gonna let her leave?
As Jeb runs off to find bandages for the woman's cuts, she speaks with Esther.
Instead of like kicking her out or like shooting her, he's finding bandages for the woman, bro. And this is quite literally like the devil.
Who has done evil things, and their baby may turn out to be the same. She then leaves the knife she cut herself with as she walks out of the house.
Yeah, she just walks out the house
as Hell Rider. At night, Jeb begins to have nightmares about the creature from the woods, which watches over him.
The skeleton one, yes.
In the morning, an angered Jeb decides to take the knife to the sheriff so he can do something about the woman who came into their house. Jeb rides into town and approaches the sheriff's department, but finds it locked. Howard Blackwood arrives and tells Jeb that Sheriff Seth Creviston is down at the Toluca prison.
Right.
Jeb heads into the nearby Leek's Tavern to grab a bite to eat, and inside he orders a coffee. The bartender Jonas is surprised, stating that this isn't his usual
But he
order,
just came,
which
though.
confuses Jeb, as this is the first
exactly.
time
That's
he's
what
come to the tavern.
Yeah.
Just then, Jonas's wife Helene walks in and recognizes Jeb as Hellrider, referring to some kind of past together between the three of them before mentioning a big knife Jeb used to own.
Whoa.
As the three begin to argue, Sheriff Creviston walks into the tavern and meets with Jeb. Jeb tells him about the trespasser at his home, and the sheriff hints at some kind of history between him and Jeb as well, before inviting him back to his station to discuss further. At the station, Jeb and the sheriff talk about the former's past, and he explains that he used to be a heavy drinker but gave it up before he and his wife moved to Silent Hill to start a new life. Jeb changes the subject to his intruder, and the sheriff explains that it must be an old woman named Enola, who is a bit strange but ultimately harmless. Jeb then leaves, stating that if Enola shows up again, it'll be her last time. And as he leaves, the sheriff also refers to him as Hellrider. Meanwhile, back at the house, the skeletal creature begins to watch over Esther as she collapses on the porch. When she awakens, she finds Enola before her, and the old woman helps her inside the house. The two then have a conversation, and Enola cryptically states that she and others have been awaiting her child's birth.
What? That is... Yeah, that's not creepy at all.
Weeks later, as Jeb cuts the chair into firewood, he begins to remember his days when he went by Hellrider, including an incident where he slept with Helene. Jonas caught the two, and in a rage, he tried to stab Jeb, but he pulled Helene in front of him, causing Jonas to kill his own wife instead.
Wait. Is this... Okay, so... But the wife is still alive, though.
Jeb then pulled his shotgun and blew Jonas away, leaving the couple dead as he walked out.
Oh, shit.
Just as Jeb comes to this realization, Howard Blackwood arrives once again to check in on Jeb and see how he and his wife have settled in. The pair speak about killing people in their past, and Jeb recounts his days as Hellrider, when he drank whiskey and killed with no remorse before Esther got him clean. He then states that some of the murders were killing Native Americans to free land for the rich and powerful, but he doesn't count that. Howard then ominously states that in Silent Hill, it all counts, before he rides off. Later, Jeb takes Esther to the church in Silent Hill, and they listen to a sermon where Reverend Stone mentions lost sheep, triggering another memory of Jeb's Hellrider days in which he met with Sheriff Creviston while roasting a sheep they stole from a farm. During the confrontation, Jeb sliced the sheriff's eye with his giant knife.
What?
As Jeb looks over at the sheriff in the church, he notices his damaged eye and giant scar, causing him to grab Esther and return to their carriage to go home. Once they arrive, Jeb sends Esther inside and heads to the barn, where he grabs the bottle of whiskey and drinks as the skeletal creature, now revealed to be pregnant, appears behind him.
What is happening?
Meanwhile, inside the house, Esther begins to go into labor, and Enola mysteriously arrives, her hands bloody once again, and sinisterly offers to help. Esther shouts for Jeb, and he hears her outside. As he goes in to check on her, he's stopped by the ghostly apparition of Helene. As he tries to escape from her,
Enola, hang on. Hear me out.
Of Helene. As he tries to escape from her, Enola introduces Esther to her daughter, Awanita, the skeletal creature. Jeb kills Helene, but is stopped again by Jonas and then again by Sheriff Creviston, and he kills them both.
So, by this point, it's clear that the sheriff, Jonas, and Helene are all sort of ghosts or apparitions. This is getting out of hand. It is getting out of hand. What the fuck?
Stopped again by Jonas and then again by Sheriff Creviston, and he kills them both. Back in Silent Hill, Howard Blackwood notices the sheriff's office and the tavern ignite into flames, and he rides towards the Foster's home. Inside the house, the creature that was Awanita inhabits Esther's body, and it's revealed that the woman was once alive, but while she was giving birth, her village was attacked by Hellrider, who killed her and her baby.
What? Bro, yeah, this guy was fucked up, man. This Jeb guy.
Esther gives birth, and Enola takes the baby from her just as Jeb arrives. Enola then leaves with the child as Jeb and Esther die in the house as it burns to the ground.
That's
outside,
crazy.
Howard arrives and watches the inferno, asking Enola about the baby and the fires. Enola responds that the baby is her daughter, Awanita, and the fires burn for the spirits in the town, as they're done being silent. And furthermore states they've only just begun.
Okay, so this Blackwood guy and Enola are real people, but the rest of the town's residents are ghosts. Wait, what about the Awanita thing? Hang on. So the creature that was Awanita inhabit Esther's body,
Inside the house, the creature that was Awanita inhabits Esther's body.
Esther's body,
and it's revealed
and it's
that the woman was
that
once
woman was
alive,
once
but
alive.
while she was giving birth, her village was attacked by Hellrider, who
So Awanita is the woman giving birth that died.
killed her and her baby. Esther gives birth, and Enola takes the baby from her.
Okay,
As it burns to
okay,
the
sure,
ground.
sure.
Outside, Howard arrives and watches her daughter, Awanita, and the fires burn for the spirits
And now the
in
daughter
town,
is
as they're
named
done being
Awanita.
silent, and furthermore states that they've only just begun.
A century later,
That's insane.
in the small rural New England town
Oh,
of Silent
right. That
Hill,
was like 1867 or something. So this is 1967. Okay. In the small rural New England town of Silent Hill, we find
truck driver Travis Grady passing through on his way to the city of Brahms. While driving, Travis has visions of a funeral before a cloaked figure steps out into the road, forcing him to come to a forceful stop. After he exits his vehicle to check on the figure, he finds it gone, and in its place is a young girl in a blue school uniform.
Awanita?
He follows the girl, eventually coming upon a burning house.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? If I was a trucker at night and then I saw that kind of thing, I'm fucking going back into my truck and I'm booking it, bro. I don't care. I do not care. Unfortunately, you know.
But he soon hears a girl screaming from inside, forcing him to run in. Inside the fiery blaze, Travis finds a girl alive but charred, lying on top of a painted seal, seemingly as some sort of ritual. She asks Travis to leave her there to burn, but he picks her up and carries her out of the house. Outside, however, he collapses, just as sirens begin to be heard in the distance. Travis awakens the next day to find himself on a bench within Silent Hill, which he finds to be enveloped in a fog. Concerned about the girl's condition, Travis decides to head to the nearby Alchemilla hospital in order to find and check on her. There, Travis meets Dr. Michael Kaufman, who claims to know nothing about the burned girl, revealing that the hospital—
This guy literally looks like the Mr. Smith from The Matrix.
Did not admit any new patients in the past day or two. He then rushes off, leaving Travis alone in the hospital, where he finds a disfigured, otherworldly nurse who attacks him.
Oh yeah, just run, bro.
Travis fights his way past the creature and finds a mirror, where he sees the girl in the blue uniform in its reflection.
Oh yeah, it's over. Travis,
when Travis touches the mirror, he finds himself on the other side of the reflection.
Why would you touch
a bloody,
the mirror?
Twisted version of the hospital.
Why would you touch the mirror,
After working his way
Travis?
through both versions of the hospital, Travis encounters a monster resembling a patient in a straitjacket, and he defeats it to find a mysterious pyramid-shaped item on the ground, surrounded by the same seal he found the burned girl on. After he picks the item up, he sees the girl in the uniform once again before he passes out once again shortly after.
He keeps passing out, damn.
The normal version of the hospital,
and he keeps waking up on benches. That's so funny to me. I'm sorry.
Who reveals that the girl in the fire, named Alessa Gillespie, died from her wounds.
Alessa Gillespie, one hell of a name. A trainee nurse named Lisa Garland, who reveals that the girl in the fire named Alessa Gillespie
died from her wounds.
Oh,
Lisa then rushes off to meet Dr. Kaufman in the Cedar Grove Sanitarium, and Travis follows shortly after to learn more about the town's
Travis. Why would you follow her? Why would you follow her? You have a task to do. You have items to deliver to Brahms, bro. First of all, you got a job to do. Second of all, you literally went into an alternate dimension, right? And you fought like this otherworldly creature. Why are you sticking around? Get out! Oh my god, bro. This guy has zero preservation, like self-preservation instincts.
On the way, however, Travis finds the town to be overrun with monsters, and he soon comes across a giant one resembling a butcher, which viciously murders one of the nurse monsters before walking off. Travis finds the sanitarium and comes across the woman he saw outside the burning house. The woman, Dahlia Gillespie, reveals that the house was hers, and the girl who was burned was her daughter. The woman cryptically tells Travis not to trust Lisa, and warns him that there's more to the town of Silent Hill than he may realize. Travis explores the sanitarium and finds that it has its own otherworldly counterpart.
Of course it does.
Through, Travis learns that his own mother, Helen, had tried to kill him when he was a child, resulting in her admittance to the sanitarium.
Wait, what even is a sanitarium? An establishment of medical treatment people who are convalescing or have a chronic illness.
In the other world, Travis finds a manifestation of his mother and is forced to kill the creature. Afterward, he finds another pyramid-shaped item, and the girl in the uniform, an unburned manifestation of Alessa, appears and once again causes him to pass out.
This guy keeps passing
wakes
out.
Up, he finds a ticket to a show at the local Artaud Theater and makes his way there to investigate. Once he reaches the theater, Travis finds Lisa inside, who tells Travis of her dreams of becoming an actress, displaying her talents before walking off.
Hear me out.
Travis explores the theater, learning of Alessa's fear of the Shakespearean creature, the Caliban, who would use her supernatural abilities to telepathically torment its actor in retaliation.
Wait, hang on. That's a lot to digest. Hang on, first of all. Alessa is the kid that died. Okay, so yes, he goes to the theater, finds Lisa. Lisa wants to be an actress, and then she walks off, explores the theater, and then she finds out that Alessa, the kid, is afraid of this creature called the Caliban, which is a warframe.
Explores the theater, learning of Alessa's fear of the Shakespearean creature, the Caliban,
who
would use her supernatural abilities to telepathically torment its actor in retaliation.
Telepathically torment.
Travis comes across an otherworldly manifestation of the Caliban and defeats it to find another pyramid object, as well as Alessa once more. While Travis now expects
this dude is like, are we sure that this dude is like a normal trucker? He's defeated 2 otherworldly like creatures at this point, and this guy's
Travis comes across an otherworldly
like this guy isn't a joke, you know? Like this guy's like an Avengers level threat. Like what? This guy's insane.
And defeats it to find another
like,
pyramid object, as well as Alessa once more. While Travis now expects the girl,
he's gonna pass out again.
Unable to prevent her from once again causing him to lose consciousness. Travis then awakens in the theater, finding a key to the nearby motel where he had stayed as a child. Travis makes his way to the hotel, where he is forced to traverse the
Question, where are he getting the guns from? The guns are just laying around throughout the city?
Fog-filled world, as well as the rusted, bloody otherworld, while reliving his previous trips there with his father while they stayed in the town to visit his committed mother. Eventually, Travis is forced to battle the giant butcher-like creature he saw earlier, eventually killing the beast with its own cleaver.
With his
Travis continues searching the motel, finding more evidence of his
superhuman.
parents' extremely strained relationship before coming across Lisa and Dr. Kaufman together on a bed in a room filled with an...
Dr. Kaufman has game. Holy. You're worried about guns? No, it's like, you can't help but be curious. Like, this guy suddenly just has an AK-47. How? Where? How?
Unknown drug. The pair scurry off, and Travis finds the key to room 500, where he stayed with his father as a child. When he enters the room, Travis relives his memory of finding his dead father hanging from a noose inside the room.
What? That's so dark.
Travis then witnesses his father's corpse in the otherworld awakening to tell him to face his demons. He then transforms into an unnatural monster that Travis is forced to kill. After he does, he finds the final pyramid-shaped piece, as well as Alessa, who he now realizes has dug up his parents in order to torment him.
Oh, this
While he
Caliban.
tries to confront her, she is able to psychopathically overpower him and cause him to pass out once again.
So this is Caliban,
when Travis awakens, he finds the final piece of the pyramid-shaped item and is able to combine all of his pieces to create the Floros.
Okay, question. So he's been collecting these pyramid pieces, right? And those are fucking big pyramid pieces. Where has he been storing them? I think that's a valid question, right? He clearly isn't bringing a bag, and that's clearly too big for his pockets. So how is he bringing... Okay, maybe I shouldn't be poking holes here. I'm just saying, you know, it's unrealistic.
Pyramid-shaped item and is able to combine all of his pieces to create the Floros, an item he's read about that holds some kind of mystical power related to Alessa's. Alessa appears to him afterward, before quickly vanishing. Travis returns to the streets of Silent Hill, finding Dahlia, who chastises him for breaking the spell and freeing Alessa. Travis asks for Dahlia's help,
Isn't that your daughter,
she simply
though?
warns him that Alessa will soon give birth to God.
Give birth to
As
God
Travis
is
turns
insane.
Around, he witnesses Alessa rise from the ground and transform
Holy
the fog-filled
shit!
town of Silent Hill into an otherworldly hellscape. Travis is able to escape to the Green Lion Antiques shop, where he finds a hidden passageway leading to a room housing several members of a cult-like group called the Order, who look over Alessa's burned physical body, which they hope to use as a vessel to bring forth the birth of their god. Dr.
So
Kaufman
these are
reveals himself as one of the members and knocks
he
Travis
is.
out with sleeping gas. Dahlia, also revealed to be a member of the Order, states that they must contain Travis in a cage for a demon.
How is Travis still alive, bro? How?
Travis then finds himself inside some kind of nightmare reality where he is forced to fight a demon of Alessa's dreams. After he emerges victorious, Travis regains the Floros and uses it to destroy the demon. Back in Silent Hill, Travis awakens to find the Floro shooting a beam of light at Alessa's burned body, causing an infant-like shape to emerge from her. Afterward, Travis emerges to find himself in the real world, where he comes across his truck. He gets in and sees Alessa in his rear-view mirror holding a newborn child. Travis simply smiles, resets his odometer, and drives off, leaving his past, the town of Silent Hill, and Alessa Gillespie behind. Afterward, a couple, Harry and Jody Mason, find the newborn on the side of the road, and they adopt the child.
Oh, that child's gonna be the protagonist of the next game, isn't she?
Naming her Cheryl. The Order then realizes that this part of Alessa's soul has gone missing, causing the seed of their god to lay dormant. They then determine that they can bring the other half of her soul back using a summoning spell, but realize that this will take some time.
Okay, so the flora, the prism looking thing, sort of split the soul of Alessa, and half of that soul became the baby, which is now called Cheryl. But there's still half of Alessa's soul in the... Okay, I think I'm getting it so far.
Around 7 years later, Harry Mason takes Cheryl back to Silent Hill on
I knew
after
it.
the death of his wife Jody a few years
Wait,
prior.
but why though?
Shortly after a police officer passes Harry, he spots her bike crash on the side of the road. Harry then notices a girl in a blue uniform in the road.
Why would you come back to
avoid hitting
Silent
her,
Hill,
causing him to
man?
crash his car off the side of the road, knocking
Why
him
would you
unconscious
come back
in the
to Silent
process. When Harry awakens, he notices Cheryl's missing and emerges from his car to find himself in the fog and snow-filled town of Silent Hill, where he begins to search for his daughter. Before he can get too far, however, the area transforms into the dark otherworld, and Harry is attacked by small, monstrous creatures, which overwhelm him before he passes out.
Is he fighting them with just a light? Oh,
Harry later regains consciousness in a diner where he is greeted by the police officer he saw earlier.
Oh, wait, hang on, wait.
In a diner where he is greeted by the police officer.
Wait, hang on. I mean, my hands are right here, officer.
He saw earlier, who introduces herself as Sybil Bennett from the neighboring Brahms Police Department.
Brahms!
Sybil shares Harry's confusion with what's going on in the town and leaves him with
well, the cutscene version of Sybil was so pretty, but holy shit, the in-game model really reflects the technology at the time.
Pistol to protect himself as she heads off to call for
this makes sense, right? He gets the pistol from the sheriff. What about the AK-47 from earlier?
A staticky noise, and suddenly a flying monster
Holy.
crashes through the diner window, forcing Harry to open fire and kill it. Harry works his way back to where he was attacked and finds a note seemingly left by Cheryl, noting that she has gone to the nearby Midwich Elementary School. Harry makes his way through the school, as well as its otherworldly counterpart, finding a large circular seal painted on the ground of the courtyard.
This again.
He eventually finds a large lizard-like creature called
Ew.
Splithead, which he defeats, returning him to the fog-filled world. He then spots the girl he saw in the middle of the road, but she quickly vanishes into thin air.
This must be the other half of Cheryl.
As he exits the school, Harry hears the bells of the nearby Balkan church, and he heads there to investigate. Inside, Harry meets Dahlia Gillespie, who gives him the Floros and tells him to make his way to the hospital before cryptically exiting.
Oh, Dahlia's still alive.
Harry makes his way to the Alchemilla Hospital and enters it to find a man with a gun
the doctor
who shoots at him when he enters. Harry diffuses the situation, and the man introduces himself as Dr. Michael Kaufman,
exactly.
who claims to be just as bewildered about the current state of Silent Hill before he grabs his briefcase and hurries out. Harry then finds a box of smashed vials containing an unknown red liquid, and he can optionally take a sample of the liquid with him. Harry fights through the otherworld version of the hospital, finding monstrous nurses, as well as the girl in the blue uniform, who he learns is Alessa Gillespie, a patient.
And he's gonna pass out as well.
Along the way, until he comes across a frightened nurse, Lisa Garland. However, during their conversation, Harry's head begins to hurt, and he passes out once more. When Harry awakens, he finds himself back in the fog world with Dahlia Gillespie waiting for him inside Dr. Kaufman's office. She tells him not to let the symbol he saw in the schoolyard be completed, which she refers to as the Mark of Samael. She leaves him the key for Green Lion Antiques and tells him that the other church in town is his next destination.
Okay, hang on. If you're the main character, won't you be suspicious? Like, let's say you wake up from a bench or something and then you see someone. Wouldn't your instinct be to ask that person how you got there in the first place? Right? I feel like if I just woke up from a bench and I saw someone like Dahlia, I'd ask her, like, how did I get here? Did you pick me up? Did you bring me here? You know what I mean? But maybe I'm poking too many holes in it. I have no idea.
Inside the antique shop, Harry finds the secret passageway and is quickly met by Sybil. Sybil tells Harry that she saw a girl by the lake, which Harry assumes to be Cheryl. Sybil also reveals that there's an issue with drug trafficking in the town, but the police force has no leads on who's behind it. Harry then enters the passageway alone and finds a hidden altar with a chalice full of an unknown powder.
unknown powder, eh?
Sybil enters the passageway to investigate
and finds
no trace of Harry inside. Meanwhile, Harry awakens inside the otherworld version of the hospital, with Lisa sitting before him. Lisa fills Harry in on some of the background of the town, including a strange religion its inhabitants used to follow, and tells him about Dahlia's daughter dying in a fire years ago.
Right.
Harry then mysteriously finds himself waking up again in a bed, and he exits into the otherworld version of the town to reach the Silent Hill Town Center shopping mall, where he sees a video playing of the captive Cheryl.
This is a horror game. How many logical decisions have you seen made by horror game characters? You are right. You are right.
Harry then falls through a faulty walkway and battles a large worm-like creature called the Twin Feeler.
That's such a creepy name.
He then returns to the hospital and reunites with Lisa to ask her how to get to the lake. She gives him directions to go through the sewers, but asks him not to leave.
Is he not gonna question Lisa? Like, how are you able to just go back and forth between this world and the other world? Do you know anything about why I keep passing out? Are you real? Are you a human? You know what I mean?
She feels safe. However, she won't leave with him as she feels like she isn't supposed to. Harry promises to return and heads off, fighting the evolved form of the Twin Feeler, the flying stinger on his way. The end of this battle brings him to the fog world, where he enters the sewers, fighting through various monsters before emerging into the resort area of the town. Here, Harry can optionally enter Annie's bar, where he rescues Kaufman from an attacking monster. Afterward, Kaufman leaves, and Harry finds a key and a note, which lead him to a store called the Indian Runner, where he opens a safe to find a cache of drugs, as well as an article containing the recreational drug PTV, the same one being trafficked around Silent Hill. This leads Harry to a motorcycle, and when he opens the gas tank, he finds a vial like the broken ones in the hospital. Kaufman arrives suddenly and scolds Harry, taking the vial from him and scurrying off, leading Harry to surmise that he must somehow be involved in the local drug trade. The town then shifts to the other world again, and Harry rushes to the docks to reunite with Sybil in a boat. The pair discuss their next steps, and Dahlia enters to interrupt them. She again wants Harry to stop the Mark of Samael from being completed before his daughter is used as a sacrifice. She then sends him to the lighthouse on the lake, while Sybil goes to the center of the amusement park. Harry reaches the lighthouse and climbs it to find Alessa, standing atop the Mark of Samael before vanishing. Harry then makes haste to the amusement park to hopefully beat Alessa there. When Harry arrives, however, he is shocked to find Sybil seemingly possessed, who attacks him on the carousel. At this point, Harry can either kill Sybil,
the transition from the cutscene to the in-game footage is so jarring. It's so funny.
To stop her, or throw the sample of the red liquid he found at the hospital on her, ridding her of the mind-controlling parasite and saving her. Afterward, Harry finds Alessa once again, but she telekinetically pushes him away. Harry then notices the Floros glowing, and he grabs it, unknowingly activating it. It blasts Alessa with some kind of energy, incapacitating her. Dahlia then arrives and confronts Alessa, revealing that the girl had somehow escaped their spell, and that she used Harry to capture her. She then tells the girl that there is one more thing she needs from her before the two disappear into the glow of the Floros. Harry then awakens once again in a hospital room with Lisa, this time in nowhere, a physical manifestation of Alessa's memories. Lisa runs off, forcing
Lisa
Harry
just
to find his
everywhere?
own way
What?
through the distorted labyrinth to find her once again. Lisa realizes that she's no different than the monsters around them, and she suddenly begins to bleed from every orifice, forcing Harry to lock her away behind him. Afterward, Harry re-enters the room to find that Lisa is now missing, but notices her diary in her place. Reading it, he learns that Lisa was addicted to the PTV drug and that she was the nurse attending to Alessa, although she tried to reason with Kaufman to let her quit, as the girl frightened her. Harry eventually finds Alessa's room in nowhere and witnesses the memory of Dahlia, Kaufman, and 2 other members of the Order discussing her soul splitting in two,
the
as
incident
well as how
from
they
the
can
previous
bring
game.
the halves back together to initiate the birth of their god.
Holy shit.
Harry finally finds Dahlia, as well as Sybil if he had saved her, alongside Alessa in a bandaged figure in a wheelchair. The figure, it is soon revealed, is a fully reformed Alessa. Dahlia explains that Cheryl was the result of Alessa's soul splitting into a new child, but she has now been reunited. The girl Harry had seen around town was Alessa, astral projecting herself to draw the seal of Metatron around the town, attempting to stop the god from being birthed from her. Dahlia had manipulated Harry into stopping Alessa, and now the god is set to arrive. Just then, Alessa appears as the white, glowing incubator. Suddenly, Kaufman, if he was saved by Harry, appears and shoots Dahlia.
Oh, wait, that's a change of heart.
Her. Kaufman pulls out another vial of the red liquid, which Dahlia refers to as the Aglaophotis. He throws it at the incubator, causing a giant monster called the Incubus, which immediately burns and kills Dahlia. Harry then fights the creature, finally killing it and preventing the birth of the Order's god through Alessa.
But I assume Alessa died too,
Harry
no?
sees the incubator return to the form of Alessa, now holding a newborn baby. She hands the baby to Harry and creates an opportunity for him and potentially Sybil and Kaufman to escape the other world. Kaufman doesn't get the chance, however, as a still bloody Lisa appears and drags him to the depths below, as the others make their escape while the incubator burns to death behind. Finally, outside the town, Harry, potentially alongside Sybil, takes the newborn girl and heads off to raise her as his own daughter once again.
Okay.
If you'd like to see a full Let's Play of that game, click the link! Please subscribe.
Interesting.
Sometime later, inside the Heaven's Knight Gentlemen's Club in Silent Hill, a woman named Maria wakes up and finds herself in the town, which is crawling with monsters. She holds a gun, contemplating using it on herself, but instead feels compelled to find someone else in the town. She explores the town.
That's crazy though. Like in 2 years, the models have evolved so much. This is in 1999, and this is in 2001. It's just a 2-year difference, and look at how different the models
Maria
are.
Wakes up and finds herself in the town, which
James Sunderland part. Okay, I'll look forward to that.
Crawling with monsters. She holds a gun, contemplating using it on herself, but instead feels compelled to find someone else in the town. She explores the town and finds a mansion owned by Ernest Baldwin. Inside, she speaks with the agoraphobic man through the door of his room, but he simply asks her to go away. In the attic, Maria finds a note from Ernest's daughter, Amy, and she returns it to Ernest, who reveals that his daughter is dead, and asks Maria to retrieve a bottle of white liquid for him.
White
which he can
liquid?
use to bring back his daughter. Maria retrieves the bottle from an apartment complex next door and returns it to Ernest. The man thanks her for bringing him the only item he couldn't get himself before revealing something to her. That a man, a bad man, named James Sunderland will be coming to the town soon to look for the you that isn't you.
The you that isn't you.
Maria begins to remember the man, but believes him to be kind. Maria then opens the door to Ernest's room, but shockingly finds it to be completely empty.
You're cooked, Maria.
Maria then steps out into the streets of Silent Hill and holds her gun up to her head. She takes a moment, but decides to throw the gun over a nearby wall before walking deep into the fog.
Why would you throw your only weapon in a town overrun with monsters? And at this point, she knows that the town has monsters. Why would you throw the gun away? Maybe this is where the horror tropes came from in the first place, because of all these like ridiculous decisions.
Of the town to look for James.
Oh, she's actively
Meanwhile,
looking for James Sunderland.
James Sunderland arrives in Silent Hill. James traveled to the town after receiving a letter seemingly from his wife, Mary, who had fallen ill with a disease and passed away 3 years earlier, stating that she is currently waiting for him at their special place. Knowing that he had promised to take Mary back to Silent Hill before she died, James went to the town to uncover the truth behind the letter. Just outside the town, James comes across a graveyard where he meets a woman named Angela Orozco, who is also looking for someone, her mother. Angela warns James to stay out of the town as something appears to be wrong with it. James wishes her luck in finding her mother, but ignores her warning and heads into the town. There, James finds it to be nothing like the rich resort town it had been when he had previously visited with Mary, instead finding it to be a fog-filled hellscape filled with monsters.
Get out, James.
James fights off the monsters, working his way to the Rosewater Park by the lake. However, he soon finds his path blocked, forcing him to instead explore the town to find another route, locating it through an apartment complex which he enters. Inside, James finds a flashlight as well as a key behind a locked gate. When he tries to grab the key, however, a little girl stomps on his hand and kicks the key out of reach before running off.
Oh, that's not very nice.
James then finds a handgun before coming across a unique, powerful enemy with a giant cleaver and a red pyramid-like helmet on his head, having its way with 2 other enemies.
What the frick was that? What the frick was that?
James shoots at the creature and it disappears, allowing him to continue through the complex. James soon finds an apartment with a dead man in the refrigerator.
Naturally, of course.
He noises in the bathroom and enters to find another man vomiting into the toilet. This man, Eddie Dombrowski, claims to have nothing to do with the dead man, stating that he entered the apartment to flee from the monsters and found the corpse inside just as James did. James tells Eddie to be careful and heads off to continue his search. James is able to jump to the neighboring apartment complex, and there he finds Angela laying on the floor with a knife in her hand.
Wait, what?
While she's overcome with self-loathing, James is able to talk her into handing him the knife, but as he tries to take it...
Angela was the one looking for her mother, right? In the graveyard? I think I got that right.
She screams and runs off, leaving it behind. James takes it and tries to leave the apartment complex, but he is stopped by the pyramid head monster.
Why would you leave the weapons behind?
After a short
you
while,
know that there are monsters.
A siren begins to blare in the distance, and the creature leaves James by descending into a flooded stairwell. Outside the apartments, James finds the little girl who stepped on his hand. The girl cryptically states that James didn't love Mary anyway before running off, leaving a very confused James behind.
Anyway is crazy.
James finally reaches Rosewater Park, where he finds Maria. James is shocked to find that Maria looks and sounds identical to his late wife Mary, but the woman knows nothing about her. Maria asks James if he had any other special place with his late wife, and he speculates that it might be the Lakeview Hotel. Maria then accompanies James as he makes his way to the hotel. James finds Pete's Bolorama and enters to find Eddie once again, who reveals that he was just speaking with the little girl.
He's casually eating pizza? Bro, where did you get the pizza from? That must be like one hell of an old pizza. What? This guy's a monster.
Who he calls Laura. James leaves to chase after Laura, but finds that the girl had slipped past Maria. The pair follow Laura's path, passing through Heaven's Night on the way. Outside, they see Laura run into the Brookhaven Hospital and follow her inside. There, James is forced to fight several nurse-like monsters, and eventually, Maria falls ill and elects to rest on one of the hospital beds while James continues to look for Laura. On the roof, James finds a diary from a suicidal patient before Pyramid Head appears and knocks him off the rooftop. James survives the fall and eventually finds Laura. He asks the girl how she knows Mary, and the girl claims that they met at the hospital last year. James doesn't believe her, as Mary had already been dead, but he leaves with the girl anyway. Laura then tells James she has a letter from Mary and sends him into a room alone to retrieve it. When James does this, however, Laura locks him inside, and he's ambushed by 2 hanging monsters, which he is able to defeat.
This guy's a dumbass.
After the battle, the hospital begins to transform, and James emerges within its otherworld counterpart.
Like, why would you believe a little kid that says that she has been there for an entire year, right? There are no restaurants here. There are no, you can't live here. So naturally, there is no human that can survive this here for a year.
James returns to the room he left Maria in, but finds her to be missing.
Of course she is. He
eventually reunites with her in the basement of the hospital, but she meets him with anger.
It's a good idea to follow a little dead girl who tells me to enter a room alone in the dark. Yeah, exactly.
Frustrated that he left her for dead. She comes to her senses, however, and realizes that they need to find Laura and
Wait, hang on. Let me rewind that.
He eventually reunites with her in the basement of the hospital, but she meets him with anger, frustrated that he left her for dead.
What do you mean? You were the one that told him that he was able to, like, he can leave. Hello? This, she makes no sense. She comes to her senses.
She comes to her
finally.
senses, however, and realizes that they need to find Laura and get out of the hospital.
Yeah. Or maybe just get out. Fuck Laura.
Oh God.
I'm not gonna lie.
James and Maria are separated when James enters an elevator and the door closes behind him. On the other side, Pyramid Head catches Maria and instantly kills her with one swift swing of his giant blade.
Yeah, that's...
James takes a moment to collect himself
that's
before
rough,
continuing
buddy.
on, finding a reference to something at the Rosewater Park.
Yikes.
When James returns, he finds a key buried under a statue,
Right.
which he learns opens the front door to the Silent Hill Historical Society building. The building soon transforms into an otherworld representation of a prison, and in its cafeteria, James finds Eddie, musing about how easy it was to kill a man who made fun of him.
Of course, Eddie. Eddie's always eating. He was eating pizza, and now you find him in the cafeteria. Of course, Eddie. Musing about how easy it was to kill a man who made fun of him. So this guy did kill the guy and put him in the freezer.
James scolds Eddie for killing someone, but Eddie laughs and admits it was just a joke before leaving.
Sure.
James continues until he enters a room where he is surprised to find Maria, still very much alive, behind a set of jail cell bars. James expresses his confusion about her survival,
that's not Maria. There's no way.
States that they got separated in the basement.
No, I don't think so. I'm
attacked.
running.
Maria then jokes that James has a history of being
No.
forgetful
I'm
and
running
mentions
at
a
them
time when he left
as soon as I see this. What do you mean?
James begins to question her true identity, but Maria simply states that she is there for him and asks him to release her.
No.
Labyrinth, reuniting with Angela, who he learns killed her sexually abusive father. He saves her from a monster representing her father, but she distrusts him, calling him a liar who didn't want Mary around anymore before she runs off. James reaches the inside of Maria's cell, but finds her dead and mutilated on the bed.
Of course,
James
she is
traverses
dead.
through more of the labyrinth, finding Eddie in a room who threatens to kill the next person who laughs at him. James asks Eddie if he's gone nuts, which angers the man, prompting a fight between the two. James is forced to kill Eddie, and he immediately becomes overwhelmed with grief over killing another human. James exits the labyrinth and finds
I feel like at this point, if I was this guy, I would have been so desensitized to murder. I'm not gonna lie.
Boat outside, using it to reach the Lakeview Hotel. James finds Laura in the hotel restaurant, and the girl finally gives him the letter from Mary she tricked him with earlier. In the letter, which Laura took from their nurse, Rachel's locker, Mary tells Laura to trust James, as underneath his surly exterior, he's really a good person. She also tells Laura that she hoped to adopt the girl. This letter makes James believe that Mary must have not died 3 years ago, while Laura runs off to look for another letter from Mary that she has misplaced. James enters room 312, the room he and his wife stayed at on their previous vacation, and he watches the videotape he left there. The tape starts off showing James and Mary on their vacation, but then suddenly cuts to footage of James smothering his wife with a pillow and killing her.
That came out of nowhere. James, what did you do?
Television static as he comes to grips with the truth behind his wife's death.
What? So far, the protagonists of Silent Hill have been pieces of shit, basically, except for the trucker. No, actually, except for the trucker and the dad. Yeah. So the first, so Jeb and this guy are a piece of shit. Sure. So we have like a 50%.
Laura runs in and tries to get James to come with her to find Mary, but James simply admits to her that he killed the woman. Laura screams at James before running out. As James stands alone in the hotel room, he hears a message on his radio from Mary, begging him to come and find her. As James leaves the hotel, he finds Angela one last time, standing on a burning staircase. She initially believes James to be her mother, but quickly realizes who he is. Knowing there's no other escape from her pain, she asks James for her knife back, but he refuses. Angela then ascends the staircase, walking into the flames.
Wait. She initially believes James to be her mother. Wait. She initially believes James to be her. You mean Mary? Or her father? You mean? Wait, what? Am I reading this correctly?
James leaves the hotel. He finds Angela one last time, standing on a burning staircase. She initially believes James to be her mother.
I think you meant. I think they meant father, but okay.
Knowing there's no other escape from her pain, she asks James for her knife back, but he refuses. Angela then ascends
no. Sorry. That completely made sense. I think. Okay. She mistook James's figure as like, oh, is that my mom? And then James, you know, she recognized, oh, that's just James. Okay. Sorry. My bad. I misunderstood the whole thing.
Staircase, walking into the flames while James leaves.
So she just
James reaches the
burns
hotel
herself.
lobby,
Okay.
finding Maria once
How
again
are you
alive.
still alive?
However, she is immediately killed by a
And she immediately
pyramid
dies again. Okay,
James
well.
realizes they, as
Okay.
well as Maria, came to exist to punish him for his sins and guilt of killing his wife.
Right.
He then fights the creatures, eventually
Oh, that's why Maria is very similar to his wife. So he's tortured to watch his wife die over and over again. Okay.
leading to them impaling themselves on their weapons, ending their existence as James's personal punishments.
Why?
James then walks through a long hallway, recalling a memory when he tried to bring Mary flowers while she was hospitalized for her illness, but she was hostile with him, believing she looked like a monster and didn't deserve flowers. At this point, James's actions throughout his journey determine his outcome. In one instance, James finds a tall staircase, and at the top, he finally finds Mary, or at least a woman who looks like her. The woman offers to be the perfect wife like James wanted, but he refuses, triggering her transformation into a monster resembling his late wife's appearance on her hospital bed. After James defeats this creature, his journey through Silent Hill and his own personal punishment come to an end. James then finally gets one last moment with his wife, and Mary tells him that she wanted the pain to end to make him feel better for his actions.
Wait, that's not fair though. So this guy walks off scot-free after killing his wife? That's nuts, man. At least in the first game,
he admits his
jackass also died.
As he just wanted his own life back.
That's what I'm saying.
Mary doesn't believe this is fully true, as his guilt tells a different story.
Well, you can feel guilt, but you still need to like atone for your sins,
hands him the
though.
letter professing her love and thanks to him.
He suffered enough? I don't think so.
James then carries her body out of the room and to his car. Inside his car, James finally realizes why he came to Silent Hill in the first place.
And his own suffering.
To end his own suffering. He then drives his car into Toluca Lake to drown himself.
Oh, okay, there we go. So we do have like a quote-unquote redemption arc. There we go.
Sometime later, a group of college students travels to Silent Hill to investigate the history of the Little Baroness, a boat that mysteriously sank in Toluca Lake 75 years prior.
Yeah, because that's always a good idea.
Eric and Tina awaken the next day to find the town filled with fog and monsters, and the rest of the group missing.
Ooh.
The pair then fight through various locations in the town, as well as their otherworld counterparts, to eventually find Tina's friend, a young girl named Emily, and the group finds the Little Baroness docked at Toluca Lake. Eventually, they learn that in 1918, a woman named Lorraine drowned her daughter Hannah by throwing her from the boat, and it sank.
This place is so fucked. Like, I feel like there are so many tragedies in this Silent Hill place. Like, what?
Shortly after,
what is up with this place and
of Lorraine
the people
throws
here?
Emily to the bottom of the lake as well, and when Eric and Tina dive down, they find Hannah, who transforms into—
Why would you dive down? Hang on.
1918, a woman named Lorraine drowned her daughter Hannah by throwing her from the boat, and it sank shortly after.
Right.
The representation of Lorraine throws Emily to the bottom.
Oh, Lorraine throws Emily to the bottom of the— Oh, I see. So their friend got thrown off, so they jumped after. Okay, sure. I got it.
Bottom of the lake as well, and when Eric and Tina dive down, they find Hannah, who transforms into a giant monster.
Oh.
The pair defeat the monster, and Emily is rescued.
How? What do you mean defeats the monster? Using 2 pistols? You're telling me 2 college students
dive down, they find Hannah, who transforms into a giant
defeated
monster.
This thing using 2 pistols? 1 pistol? That is crazy. The
pair defeat the monster, and Emily is rescued. Eric then notices that the monster is returning to its original form, and he pulls Hannah out of the lake. Hannah thanks Eric for rescuing her from the depths, and he then sees a vision of Hannah reuniting with her mother, while the captain of the boat, his great-grandfather, gives him a nod of approval.
17 years after Harry Mason left Silent Hill,
that's a pretty
his second adoptive daughter and reincarnation of
Hang on. Let me reload that. 17 years after Harry Mason left Silent Hill, his second adoptive daughter.
After Harry Mason left Silent Hill, his second adoptive daughter and reincarnation of Alessa Gillespie,
Heather Mason,
falls asleep inside the Central Square shopping center and dreams of the lakeside amusement.
Oh, she's pretty. Okay, so the triangle split Alessa's soul in half. The first soul became the first kid. That kid died. while the other soul was reincarnated into a baby, and now this baby is Heather. Okay, sure. So we're going back to that sort of quest line. All right.
Park in Silent Hill, where she finds several monsters before being struck by a roller coaster car.
What?
Shocking her
Wait,
away.
what?
Heather
It's a dream. It's a dream. Okay,
Harry, from a payphone, and lets him know that she's on her way home.
Wait, she's pretty
As
though.
she walks off, she is stopped by a detective named Douglas Cartland, who states that his employer wants to talk to her about her birth.
Her quote-unquote birth,
into the women's room before climbing out the window. Unfortunately, she finds her path blocked and is forced to enter another door back into the mall, where she is met with a grisly sight.
Oh.
Heather finds that the mall is now filled with flesh-eating monsters,
of course.
but she is luckily able to find a handgun to protect herself.
Yeah, a random
Heather fights her
handgun,
way
of
through
course.
the mall, soon coming across a woman in a black dress who introduces herself as Claudia, who states that she needs the girl's power to lead them to paradise. She also tells Heather to remember her, as well as Heather's true self, before the girl feels a pain in her head as the woman walks
I feel like
off.
this is a recurring theme, like just passing out after facing a supernatural entity. 5 Nights at... I mean, Silent Hill is so deep, who is going to die now? You're right.
Later, Heather finds an
5 Nights
elevator,
at
and
Silent
when
Hill,
she
bro.
enters, she finds herself inside the hellish otherworld version of the mall. At the
Why?
very bottom of the mall,
Why not just get
Heather
back
fights
out?
a giant worm-like
Maybe
creature and
What?
defeats it, returning the mall.
Wait, you're telling me, hang on, you're telling me this
At the very bottom
girl
of the mall, Heather
with
fights a
one
giant
handgun
worm-
defeated this fucking eldritch worm tentacle thing. Are you kidding me? I feel like even Guts with his sword would have trouble. What is happening? What is this pistol? Is it like a magic pistol or something?
and defeats it,
Look at this, look!
returning the mall back to normal. As Heather goes to leave, Douglas stops her once again.
Very
Heather asks
useful,
about Claudia,
Douglas.
and
Yeah,
Douglas
of course.
reveals
Yeah,
that she is
you don't
his
need to help
employer.
me.
Heather assumes that
Wait, sorry.
Heather asks about Claudia, and Douglas reveals that she is
Okay,
his
so
employer.
he works for
Heather assumes
Claudia,
that
sure.
Douglas is somehow behind the monsters in the mall, but he acts just as surprised by them as she is.
I love the model
Heather
though.
leaves Douglas and enters
Heather's
the
model
subway,
is so pretty.
only for it to also be inhabited by monsters. She uses the subway to reach a construction site before reaching the Hilltop Center, an office building that also transforms into the other world. Heather explores the center, coming across a man named Vincent Smith, who recognizes her.
Hello.
Vincent reveals that while he is in the same cult as Claudia, the Order, he states that he
Right.
isn't on her side. Heather walks off and is able to solve a riddle to return to the real world, where she is able to leave the Hilltop Center and return home to the Daisy Villa apartments. Heather
about
enters
just
her
leaving the
apartment
town,
but is shocked
maybe?
to find her father, Harry Mason, murdered in the chair in their living room. Heather spots a trail of blood and follows it up the fire escape to the roof, where she finds Claudia, who states that Harry's murder was revenge for his crossing the Order 17 years ago by stopping their plan and taking Heather. She also states that by killing Harry, she has filled Heather's heart with hatred, something Heather will understand later. Claudia then reveals the Order's intention to have Heather birth their god.
Like, look at the model. I know I keep saying this, but the model is so pretty.
And bring forth paradise before revealing Harry's true killer, a monster called the Missionary that attacks Heather as Claudia exits. Heather defeats the monster and returns to the apartment,
Naturally, I
finding
mean,
Douglas
at this
Harry's
point,
body.
you know, why am I even
Douglas expresses his
surprised?
condolences and helps Heather place her father's body in his bed before covering him with a sheet. Douglas asks Heather what's next, and she states that she's going to Silent Hill to find the Order and kill Claudia to avenge her father's death. Heather meets Douglas outside, who claims that he saw Vincent, who gave him a map of Silent Hill and instructions to find someone named Leonard Wolf when they get there. Douglas then hands Heather a notebook he found on Harry's person, in which he explains the truth behind Heather's birth and subsequent adoption. On the car ride to Silent Hill, Heather tells Douglas the story of Silent Hill and how Harry stopped Dahlia from sacrificing Alessa to rebirth the Order's
it's a
god.
long story.
She admits that she fears Claudia is trying to use her to do the same. The pair reach Silent Hill and hole up in Jack's Inn before Douglas heads off to find Leonard at his house. Heather heads to Brookhaven Hospital, passing through Heaven's Night on the way. At the hospital, Heather finds notes and gifts from a patient named Stanley Coleman, who is seemingly infatuated with her. As Heather progresses, his notes get more and more hostile as she does not return his affection.
That is
Heather soon
creepy.
hears a phone ringing and answers it to find the man on the other end is Leonard Wolf, who reveals himself to be Claudia's father. He asks Heather to come find and release him so he can help in stopping Claudia, and she agrees. However, as she looks for him, the hospital transforms into the other world. She has a vision of Lisa Garland, but doesn't fully remember the nurse. She then passes by a manifestation
but
of her
Lisa died,
corpse
right?
on her way to find Leonard. When she finds the man, however, she learns that he is also a member of the Order.
Of
and
course.
He becomes upset when he learns that she is a non-believer. Leonard then emerges from a pool of water, revealing himself to be a monstrous creature.
That is disgusting.
Heather kills Leonard and returns to the real world, where she finds a talisman with the seal of Metatron, which she takes as she heads back to the inn to return to Douglas. In their room, Vincent and Claudia argue about their religious beliefs, and Claudia chastises Vincent for leading Heather to her father, resulting in his death. Claudia leaves and Heather arrives shortly after, finding Vincent there. Vincent tells her that Douglas left her a message to go to the church on the other side of Toluca Lake to find Claudia. To get there, Heather must pass through the amusement park, where she relives the events of her nightmare the day before. Luckily, with her knowledge of what's coming, she's able to
the train, right, yeah. The roller coaster, sorry.
Meanwhile, elsewhere in the park, Douglas confronts Claudia about hiring him under false pretenses. Claudia tries to explain that they must retrieve Heather so they can awaken Alessa and usher in their eternal paradise, a notion Douglas doesn't agree with, causing him to pull out his gun and set his sights on Claudia.
I don't think you want to do that,
Heather
Douglas.
makes her
I'm
way
not gonna
through
lie.
a haunted mansion attraction and finds Douglas, incapacitated due to a broken leg, likely caused by his altercation with Claudia.
That's what I thought.
Heather heads off to take care of Claudia, promising to come back once she's done. As she walks off,
Douglas is
wonders if
absolutely
killing Heather
gonna
is
die.
the only way he can prevent the
Oh my god, man. You bitch, Douglas.
birth of God, but he ultimately puts his gun down. Heather continues through the park, eventually reaching the same carousel where Harry encountered Sybil all those years ago.
Heather's model
As
is
the
so
carousel
pretty,
turns into its
man.
otherworld representation, however, Heather sees
Maybe
a
I'm just into
burned,
blonde girls.
black-haired doppelganger
I don't
version
know.
of herself, the memory of Alessa
Oh,
Gillespie.
damn.
After Heather defeats her counterpart, she finds a
She
long
has a
passageway
katana,
that
nice.
leads to the Order's church. Inside, Heather finds Claudia, who again tells Heather that her true self must awaken. Heather then tells Claudia that she is Alessa and that she wants to leave the world as it is now. As they argue, however, Heather begins to feel a pain in her abdomen and collapses, giving Claudia a chance to walk away.
Shoot Claudia, bro.
Heather eventually
Before
finds
she-
Vincent,
oh my god.
who tells her
Okay.
that she can use the seal of Metatron to stop Claudia from completing her plan.
How?
Then hands her a book explaining the seal's importance and walks off. Heather then travels through otherworld locations that mirror the memories of herself, her father, and Alessa Gillespie before finding Vincent and Claudia arguing. Vincent tells Heather to kill Claudia, and Claudia responds by stabbing the man in the back.
Oh,
Claudia
that's
then
rough,
tries to
man.
reason with Heather about the birth of God, but a surviving Vincent tells Heather to use the seal. Heather takes it out, and Claudia reveals it's a useless piece of junk. She then stabs Vincent in the chest,
I feel like that's a
killing him.
bluff, though.
Heather then begins to transform as she gets close to birthing the god inside her. She then opens a pendant she had since she was a child and ingests the Aglaophotis inside. This chemical is the same one used 17 years prior to remove God from Alessa, and Heather vomits the fetal-like god on the ground. Claudia then rushes over and ingests it, hoping to birth God herself instead. She then begins to transform and falls down a nearby hole.
That is so disgusting. What the frick?
Heather jumps down after her but finds her already dead. While Heather feels robbed of her vengeance, she is soon startled to see the giant, monstrous body of the birthed god.
Holy shit.
Heather fights and kills God, bringing an end to the Order's plan.
So you're telling me a young woman with a katana and a pistol manages to kill God?
To use her, as well as avenging her father's
Oh my god, she's stomping on the corpse. Holy, Heather is a badass.
death. She then takes a moment to remember her father
She's stepping
before
on
leaving
it.
the horrors she witnessed behind. Back outside, Heather reunites with Douglas, but as he notices her, she begins to approach him wielding a knife.
Why?
As she draws closer, she jumps at him jokingly, revealing it to be a prank. Douglas calls her by her name,
Someone's
Heather,
calling me.
and she requests that he call her by the name her father gave her.
Cheryl.
The pair then leave, and the last we see of Cheryl is her visiting her father's grave after his burial.
Surely that must be it, no? For the Cheryl
Sometime later, we
storyline?
find Henry Townsend in his apartment, room 302, in Ashfield, a town a few hours away from Silent Hill. One day, Henry awakens and is shocked to find his apartment door inexplicably
What the-
chained
wait,
and
but that's locked from the inside, yeah.
with a warning to not go out written by someone named Walter. After 5 days trapped in his apartment, Henry finds that a hole has mysteriously appeared in the wall of his bathroom. Henry climbs through the hole and emerges on the other end in an otherworld subway station, abandoned save for one woman named Cynthia Velasquez.
Oh, wait. I feel like in every Silent Hill game, there's always a baddie.
Believes herself to be dreaming. The pair look for an exit, but Cynthia soon falls ill and runs into the restroom. As Henry waits for her, he is attacked by monstrous dog-like creatures.
Is
Henry
Cynthia
fights off
okay?
the creatures and heads into the restroom, finding Cynthia gone, and in her place, a bloody mannequin.
Oh, that is
Henry
not
continues to explore the subway, getting attacked by ghosts on his way, before he finds Cynthia trapped in a train car. He is able to free her, and Cynthia finds the exit. Henry travels through more holes he finds back and forth to and from his apartment. When he eventually finds Cynthia, however, he finds her brutally attacked,
dead again,
and she dies from her wounds in his arms with numbers carved into her chest. Henry awakens in his apartment and looks out the window to find paramedics retrieving a body from the nearby subway, one he assumes is Cynthia. In his apartment, Henry starts to find more things out of order. Mysterious letters are slipped under his door. A peephole to his neighbor Eileen Galvin's apartment.
A peephole? Oh, you're gonna get
getting
arrested, buddy.
Henry goes through a new hole in his apartment, now finding himself
a lot of holes
at the
here.
otherworld version of the Wish House Orphanage, where he finds a man named Jasper Geen, as well as a little boy. Later, though, Henry finds Jasper burning alive, carving numbers into it. As Henry awakens back in his apartment once again, he hears a radio broadcast reporting Jasper's death, as well as noting its similarity to the modus operandi of a serial killer named Walter Sullivan, who killed 10 people before committing suicide. However, his full methods were never released to the public, making the police fear the dead killer has somehow come back to finish his crimes.
Crazy.
Through the notes slipped under his door, Henry learns from an article written by a journalist named Joseph Schreiber that Walter grew up at the Wish House Orphanage, which was really just a front for the Order, which would take in children and indoctrinate them into their twisted religion. Henry heads back into the hole and finds himself in an otherworld water treatment facility where a man, Andrew DeSalvo, is currently held captive in a cell.
Weird.
Inside, Henry finds evidence that the Order used the facility as a prison for the orphans, where they were frequently beaten and oftentimes died.
Oh, that's so fucked up.
Henry is able to free Andrew and later finds him speaking with the boy he previously saw at the orphanage. Andrew reveals that the boy is none other than Walter Sullivan. Andrew explains that he used to be a guard at this water prison and that Walter was very much into the teachings of the Order. However, like the others, Henry eventually finds Andrew dead, with numbers carved into his corpse. Henry awakens yet again in his own apartment, reading more notes by Joseph Schreiber before returning through the hole, finding it now leads to an otherworld version of his own apartment complex, where he meets his real-life neighbor, Richard Braintree.
That's a crazy name, Braintree.
Who lived in room 302 before Henry was Joseph Schreiber, who mysteriously disappeared after shutting himself into the apartment. Henry explores the otherworld complex, while Richard finds the young Walter. He holds the boy at gunpoint, stating that the boy also lived in room 302 before Richard found him sneaking around. The boy runs and Richard gives chase. Henry eventually catches up with Richard, finding him in the otherworld version of his apartment, room 207, strapped to an electric chair with numbers carved into his forehead while the young Walter stands nearby. Henry wakes up in his apartment again and returns through the hole, where he emerges in the otherworld hallway of his apartment. There, he sees the adult Walter Sullivan menacingly knocking on Eileen's door before walking.
Dude, you can say whatever you want about Silent Hill, but the baddies in this game, sheesh.
Henry follows him and sees Walter's child version banging on the door to room 302. Eventually, Henry finds the adult Walter, who tries to give him a doll that Eileen gave him when she was a child. Throughout the various rooms, Henry learns of the other inhabitants in the apartment complex, as well as their various relationships. A nurse named Rachel, the same nurse who treated Mary Sunderland, is stalked by her neighbor Mike, who was...
And Mary Sunderland is the wife that died, the wife that got killed by the husband in the game, 2 games before this one, I think. Wow. Okay. There's a lot, man.
Beaten up by Richard. There was also a painter who painted portraits of the various residents, including the building's superintendent, Frank Sunderland, none other than James's father.
Oh my God!
After finding various pieces of red paper and slipping them under his otherworld door, Henry returns back to his real world. Red paper and James's father.
Oh my God!
Wait. Let me hear that again.
Frank,
painter who painted the portraits of various residents.
Portraits of the various residents, including the building's superintendent,
Frank Sunderland.
none other than James's father.
Oh
Weird.
my God!
Okay.
After finding various pieces of red paper and slipping them under his otherworld door, Henry
so
returns
Joseph Schreiber
back to
is
his real-world apartment and reads notes he slipped to himself. In the notes, Joseph Schreiber assembles all of his learnings about Walter Sullivan. Walter was born in room 302, but when his parents abandoned him there, he was found and sent to St. Jerome's Hospital. From there, he was adopted.
Wait, hang on. Walter is the serial killer, right? Am I crazy? Hang on. Yeah. Okay, sorry. We've been through so many different Silent Hill games right now that I'm getting like the names mixed up. Holy.
Walter was born in room 302, but when his parents abandoned him there, he was found and sent to St. Jerome's Hospital. From there, he was adopted into the Wish House Orphanage, where he was indoctrinated into the order. Walter started to believe that room 302 was his mother, and he would return to the apartment and try to get in, being stopped by the new tenants. Disconnected from his perceived mother, Walter became obsessed with one of the cult's rituals, the 21 Sacraments, which he believed required 21 murders. Walter killed 10 victims, then conducted another ritual to kill himself as the 11th murder.
But you needed 21, so why would you kill yourself to do the 11th murder? That would mean you've only done 11, not 21. Wait, what?
But continued to live and murder through worlds of his own manifestation, allowing him to continue.
World of his own manifestation. Wow, okay.
Henry returns to the other world and reaches Eileen's apartment. When he enters, he finds
of course,
the woman
yeah,
bleeding to death on her floor with the numbers indicating she is the 20th victim carved in her back, while the boy Walter stands above her. Henry falls to his knees and collapses. When Henry wakes back up in his apartment, he sees an ambulance taking Eileen to St. Jerome's Hospital. He also starts to notice various ways Walter's other world starts to invade his real-world apartment, which he is able to ward off in various ways. Henry finds that the hole in his bathroom is now sealed shut, but he is able to open a new one in his laundry room, which he enters to reach the otherworld version of St. Jerome's Hospital. Henry sees Walter digging through a dead woman's abdomen, which causes him to leave the room. Henry finds Eileen's giant head eerily...
Okay, that Loki jump scared me. What the Okay, I'm sorry for screaming. Sorry. I must have jump scared you guys as well.
Gazing in a hallway, but he then finds the real woman still alive.
Oh, she's alive. Let's go.
From her previous attack. Henry takes Eileen with him through a hole, but when he returns to his apartment, he finds himself alone.
Of course.
Henry re-enters the hole and finds Eileen in the hospital on the other side. She states that she doesn't see a hole, and Henry simply disappeared for a bit before reappearing. Henry tells Eileen about the last note he got from Joseph, which told him to go down into the deepest part of Walter to find the truth.
Deepest part of Walter.
Down a giant flight of stairs in Walter's other world. Henry and Eileen travel through the other worlds Henry has already visited, encountering each victim as a now dangerous ghost. Walter starts to stalk the pair, relentlessly attacking them to try to hinder their progress. In one of the other worlds, Henry watches the adult Walter kidnap his own younger self before running off.
I don't think that's a good idea.
At the giant stairwell, Henry and Eileen find Walter's otherworld version of room 302. There, the pair find the specter of Joseph Schreiber, who explains the ceremony of Holy Assumption, which allowed Walter to create the twisted otherworlds that allow him to keep killing and finish his work, with Eileen and Henry being the final two victims. Henry learns that there was originally a storage room in his apartment that was sealed off. In the real world, Henry smashes through the new wall and enters the storage room, finding the body of Walter Sullivan strung up from the ceremony. Henry finds a set of keys in Walter's pocket and is able to use them to finally remove the locks from his...
So the real Walter sacrificed himself for this ritual so that this other kind of version of Walter can now access the other world?
Door. With the door now open, Henry emerges into the hallway of his apartment to find that the other world has completely invaded. Eileen finds him, and the pair make their way to Frank Sunderland's room to find the umbilical cord from Walter's birth, which Frank had kept after the boy was born in room 302. Henry
why
and
would you do
split
that?
up, and when Henry returns
And
to
why
room
do we need the
302,
umbilical
he finds
cord? What
Walter's
the?
body now gone, with a hole where it used to be. Henry enters the hole
What
and finds
is
Walter
that?
in a room with a spinning machine as well as a giant humanoid monster.
Oh my god.
Henry looks and sees Eileen, seemingly possessed, and walking towards the machine and her certain
my
death.
lord.
Walter attacks, and Harry uses the umbilical cord on the giant beast.
What do you mean by using the umbilical cord on the giant beast? How would you use? I'm not even gonna question it.
Allowing him to grab nearby spears and use them to pierce
Spears.
and damage the creature.
Wow, that's pretty
With
cool.
the beast incapacitated, Henry is able to attack Walter, finally defeating the serial killer for good.
Let's
As Walter
go.
lays on the floor, he calls out to his mother before finally dying.
Ah, finally.
Afterward, the room begins to collapse, and Eileen falls to her knees. Back outside room 302,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think we can
child
save
Walter
Eileen.
stops knocking
I'm not gonna lie.
and disappears as the door opens. Later, Henry walks past the apartment outside, and he calls out for Eileen. The next day, Henry visits Eileen in the real world
Eileen is
hospital,
alive,
bringing her a
nice.
bouquet of flowers. Eileen then jokingly states that she'll have to find a new place to live, as the pair's nightmare finally comes to an end.
All right, poggers, nice.
In a different time, a former soldier named Jason decides
Dude, all
to
these different names: James, Henry, now Jason. Bro, all the names are getting mixed up in my head.
head to a mountain range to commit suicide, hoping to bring an end to his PTSD nightmares of his former unit dying in an attack. He crashes
so this
his
one of the
car on
comics
way to
now,
the
okay.
mountainside he plans to do the act, and when he walks into the nearby town of Silent Hill, he's immediately met and attacked by monsters.
Okay.
Jason finds a shotgun and fights his way through the monsters, finding and saving a woman named Dahlia, a famous singer,
Another
who's then
baddie.
attacked again by a giant creature.
So this another.
She gets
Wait,
stabbed
hang
with
on. So this is a different Dahlia, right? No relation. Okay, definitely. Okay, different Dahlia.
Dahlia, a famous singer, who is then attacked again by a giant creature. She gets stabbed with a large cleaver, and Jason drags
Yep. The trend stands true. You meet someone, 5 minutes later, they're dead.
her away to safety, where she luckily survives her wound. However,
Oh, she
they are soon
survives, okay.
ambushed by more creatures, and suddenly Jason's late friend and fellow soldier, Aaron, appears, much to his surprise, to protect the pair. The
Right.
pair reach a building where the town's survivors are housed, and they take shelter until the next day, when they try to leave Silent Hill. They're soon stopped by monsters representing Jason's former unit. Jason and Dahlia take refuge in a nearby church, but they soon attack. Suddenly, Dahlia transforms into a monstrous
What?
figure herself and commands the other creatures to bow down and worship her. She then rips out her
Came out
heart
of
and
nowhere.
gives it to Jason to ward away the monsters, before kicking him out of the window, allowing him to escape.
Oh,
after
wait. So,
speaking
okay,
with
wait.
Aaron.
So she's a good.
Later, Jason finds Dahlia at the mountaintop where he planned to do the deed.
What
She
deed?
states that Jason kept her heart, and it was a good thing since it saved them both. Jason then recounts his final conversation with Aaron, who reveals that the attack that killed their unit was planned, and Aaron was actually the one that should have survived to tell the tale. However, Aaron and the others felt Jason was the most deserving to survive, so they made that happen instead. Now
Okay.
realizing his survivor's guilt to be misplaced, Jason decides to live, as does Dahlia, and the pair walk away into the sunset.
Are we still dismissing that Dahlia is a straight up demon still?
Some other time, a
All right.
murderous, smiling madman blows up a building before hitching a ride to Silent Hill to deal with some unfinished business. Elsewhere,
Sure.
State Trooper Robert Tower arrives to work on his last day before retirement. Tower is shocked to learn that despite him choosing his own replacement, the department decided on another officer, Mayberry, to take his
Interesting.
spot. Tower is to spend his last day showing Mayberry the ropes, and the pair are soon sent to Silent Hill on assignment. As the two get to talking, Tower learns that Mayberry is a believer in the supernatural rumors of Silent Hill, something
Okay.
that disgusts the superior officer. Meanwhile, the grinning man kills a few monsters, saving a pair of humans who he states he has plans for. At the Lakeview Hotel, Mayberry begins to
Okay.
hear static on his radio, and he and Tower enter the building. Inside, two officers are dressed as monsters, planning to attack Mayberry as a bit of a prank on the newcomer. However,
That's a crazy prank. That's a crazy prank.
when the doors burst open,
Oh,
it's actually
okay, well-
the grinning man who kills the two officers.
That's rough, buddy.
When Tower and Mayberry enter, they spot apparitions of someone with long white hair, who quickly vanish, forcing the two to investigate the hotel, where they find the two women the grinning man saved earlier. They have sigils burned into their foreheads,
Yeah, they don't-
and the officers take them out of the hotel.
Okay.
Outside, Tower tries to question the women, but Mayberry theorizes that the incantation the grinning man placed on them must be preventing them from speaking. Just then, 2 other men who have the sigils on their foreheads arrive, claiming that they had, quote, died in the town 10 years ago, and ask the officers to put them out of their misery, a request gladly accepted.
Bam, bam.
Tower, now believing some of the stories he's heard, soon comes across the grinning man and asks what his deal is. The man simply replies, "I hunt." Tower meets this response with a gunshot, but it doesn't faze the grinning man. Monsters soon appear, and Tower tasks Mayberry with getting the girls to safety. Tower runs off and tries to rescue all of the others the grinning man kidnapped, but he later finds the man holding Mayberry hostage. Tower shoots the man and is able to actually wound him, having weakened his powers when he freed his kidnappees.
What an alpha.
As Tower continues to shoot the man, his own grin crosses his face, and the victim's burns leave their foreheads as the maniac bleeds out on the ground. Tower then gives one more look at the monsters he could never bring himself to believe in before, and opens fire at them as well.
Oh, Tower is going insane. Wait, that's it?
At some other
that's it.
point, an artist named Ike Isaacs is in a creative slump.
Ike Isaacs. Okay, for 1 second, it reminded me of Ike Evelyn, but...
leeching off his friend's generosity until he is kicked to the curb. On the street, Ike meets a stranger who warns him of Silent Hill, where his friend sacrificed his own life so the stranger could escape the town. With nowhere else to go,
naturally he's going to go to
travel to the town to see if there's any validity to this story. When Ike reaches Silent Hill, he immediately falls in love, finding his artistic inspiration once again. When Ike finds the town's various monsters, he is allowed to safely paint portraits of them, despite the creatures killing any other visitors.
That's crazy.
6 months later, Ike finds that his paintings are disappearing, but learns that they're somehow being sold to various art magazines and collectors.
Okay.
He tries to leave Silent Hill to confront his agent, but finds he's inexplicably unable to. A year into his stay in the town, Ike is met by a team of cheerleaders. Led by their captain, Cheryl, whose bus broke down just outside of town.
I hope it's not. Is it the same Cheryl?
Then Ike tries to protect the cheerleaders from the monsters, taking them in with him.
Right.
When they overstay their welcome, he tries to get them to leave, but they lock him up.
Oh,
While he's sequestered, the cheerleaders are attacked and 2 are captured. Cheryl lets Ike out, and they go to the bowling alley to try to save the kidnapped girls. The cheerleaders use found weapons to fight the monsters, and Ike scurries off.
Interesting.
Finds that he can enter his own paintings, or at least
his
ones
own
with his name
paintings
on them that he doesn't remember painting, to travel to some kind of other dimension. Ike pulls Cheryl into the painting world, but monsters follow.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same Cheryl. I'm pretty sure the real Cheryl that has experienced so much hell in this place would ever come back. I'm not gonna lie.
Being held by a monster in a ghastly mask. Cheryl tries to attack, but the creature overpowers her. Ike then stops the monster by threatening to stop painting if they continue killing all of the town's visitors.
Talk no jutsu.
This angers the monsters, who lift their protection of Ike and begin to attack the 4 of them. They run, and the girls exit the painting world, closing the portal behind them by destroying the painting, trapping the monsters.
That is so scummy. He saved you guys. Oh, these they're dickheads. What the hell? That's so fucked up.
The cheerleaders then leave Silent Hill, but the 2 kidnappees hide monstrous forms from Cheryl.
Oh.
Some other time, Silent Hill Gazette reporter Douglas Brenneman finds himself in a nightmare of the...
Okay, so this is another Douglas. Okay, we had a Douglas before. This is another Douglas.
Town abandoned, with a heavy fog and various monsters attacking him.
Sure.
He awakens and tells his fiancée, Rosie, about it, but she simply writes it off as daydreaming. While on a story, Douglas and his editor chase an ambulance to an abandoned house, where the current sheriff of the town, Bryce Canavan, reveals that one of his officers was murdered inside after being led there by a fake 911 call. Meanwhile, a strange man with long white hair in a suit silently watches on. Douglas ignores him and sees this cop killer as his next big scoop, so he gets to work.
Okay.
Back at the newsroom, Douglas receives a package from an unnamed sender, containing the journal of an 8-year-old child. Inside, there's drawings of several monsters, and Douglas then envisions the journal sprouting tendrils and attacking him.
Whoa.
Douglas snaps to and tries to piece everything together, finding the phrase, "they are hungry," multiple times. Douglas
Just like
goes
me
to
for
the
real,
home and
I'm
the return
hungry.
address of the package and finds an old woman named Clara, who recognizes the handwriting on the label and tells him it's from a man known only as Waitley, who she describes as the man with the white hair Douglas had seen earlier. Clara explains that Whately had been renting a room from
That's... I don't know how to feel about this kind of... Okay, Whately is freaky like that. Holy, what the Sigma is happening here?
her, and she would smell strange aromas from this room, and once saw him watching a man play doctor.
Yeah, this is freaky. What the
Douglas
hell?
asks around town and only hears strange stories of odd behavior and everyone suffering from an insatiable hunger. Douglas sees Rosie and follows her,
right,
but after she heads underground, he is attacked by a seemingly homeless man who rambles about the Order.
The Order
again,
of
an
course.
entity called Samael.
They're
Douglas
still
is
trying to
rescued
summon
by
entities?
Whately, who brutally kills the attacker. Whately tells Douglas that he has a part to play in the upcoming events, but doesn't elaborate before he walks off. Afterwards, Douglas starts to feel the hunger himself.
Oh, you're
He's able
cooked.
to overcome it and get back to work on his story. As he returns to his office, however, the sky turns gray and a heavy fog rolls into the town. He tries to contact Rosie, but finds that she's gone missing. He soon gets a hold of her, but finds that he's actually listening to the 911 call that led the officers to the abandoned house.
The fake one?
Douglas runs to the house and finds Sheriff Canavan holding Whately at gunpoint. Whately shows Douglas a vision of what the murdered officer saw in his final moments, Rosie being held as a sacrifice.
Oh yeah,
Suddenly,
this
a
is
tentacle
very
shoots out
real.
of Whately's mouth, and he kills the sheriff. Whately explains
Yeah,
that
that's
he killed the
crazy.
sheriff as a warning, and if he fulfills his role, Douglas's hunger will forever be satiated. Douglas takes the sheriff's gun and runs off to find Rosie.
You're not gonna
finding the
shoot at
citizens of
Whately?
Silent Hill to be acting more and more violently as monsters begin to descend from the sky, which kill Douglas's editor.
Oh.
Douglas sees Rosie once again
That's rough, buddy.
and follows her into a library, where he speaks with her but finds that she doesn't recognize him at all. She points him to a file written by Dr. Aikman, which details experiments he had been running on fertile young women to try to find one to
Fertile
carry
young
a
women
child
is
for some reason.
crazy.
Rosie then transforms into a monster,
Of course,
and
of
Douglas
course.
realizes it's just another one of Whately's lies. She knocks him down, and he finds a book
Book of
called
Samael.
The Book of Samael, a history of Silent Hill, written by him, although he's never written a book in his life.
Written by him? Okay, interesting.
Douglas runs from the monster and reaches Brookhaven Hospital, where he finds Aikman's office. The doctor reveals that he had been trying to find a young woman who could birth the Order's god, Samael.
Again,
As Douglas
this
threatens the
obsession with
doctor,
like...
Whately arrives and takes his gun and teleports him out of the hospital. Douglas looks around and views a fiery, hellish landscape
What
of the
the
town,
frick?
and Whately offers Douglas a life as Samael's servant, with the mission to tell the story of this night in the Book of Samael. His other option is to stay in this hellish version of Silent Hill for eternity with his love, Rosie, who appears before him. Douglas decides to fulfill his hunger for the truth behind the otherworld, as well as his desire to stay with Rosie. To do this, he realizes he must die and be reborn. So
What?
he lets the demonic Rosie rip out his throat,
That's
satiating her own
crazy.
hunger in the process. In time, we find famed psychiatrist Troy Abernathy no longer taking patients after his wife, Juliana, committed suicide.
Oh.
One day, his colleague Phil comes to him with a patient named Lynn DeAngelis, who he finally agrees to treat.
Lynn,
Lynn, a film student, suffered some apparent trauma when she visited Silent Hill on a video shoot. After a year of treatment, she has seen no progress, and as Troy takes over, he also notices that none of his methods work on the girl. As a bit of a radical treatment, Troy takes Lynn back to Silent Hill to let her face
Okay,
what
well,
happened to her.
that is never
As
a
Troy
good
helps Lynn
idea.
out of his
Oh
car,
my
He is soon
god.
shocked to find a bloody gurney on the foggy street, and nearby is a nurse, bleeding profusely from her neck, where a scalpel is sticking out. The nurse stands up, and Troy realizes it's none other than his dead wife. Troy tries to run away, but is attacked by monstrous dog-like creatures. He is able to find a nearby piece of metal and fights them off, regrouping with Lynn, who has also seen the nurse. Troy refuses to believe what he has seen, but his guilt begins to overwhelm him.
Yeah,
as
and
he
you should
blames
go
something
back.
he
This is the point where you should turn back and go back home.
did for driving his wife to suicide. More monsters appear, and Troy grabs Lynn to run back to his car, only to find the tires slashed.
Oh, there we
They
go.
run to
Okay,
safety in a
so
nearby building,
that's rough.
and inside they find a young girl in a white dress.
That face is so creepy. The face on the left, it looks like a titan.
One that Lynn had seen in a dream about Silent Hill, who introduces herself as Christabella. Christabella spots Lynn and yells at her that she brought the wrong one before unleashing a monster to punish her. Lynn simply ignores the monster, which slightly annoys Christabella, who states that they...
Lynn is aura farming. Holy.
let Lynn get footage of Silent Hill and allowed her to leave so that she would bring others back to the town, but she never uploaded the footage to the internet and only brought Troy, who she isn't very impressed with.
Right.
As Christabella goes to finally kill Lynn, a man with a gun shows up, one that Lynn had also seen in her dream, and Troy recognizes him as a man named Brett, who shouldn't be alive. Brett throws a gun that Lynn grabs, and she shoots Christabella in the eye, who simply walks away annoyed. The three leave the building, and Lynn notices the back of Brett's skull is bashed and bloody. Brett states that he and Troy go way back, and Troy pushes him out of the way before grabbing Lynn and running off. The pair fight through some monsters before finding another place to take shelter, where they find Juliana once again. She takes the scalpel out of her neck and attacks Troy with it, forcing Lynn to bash her across the skull to knock her off.
Wait, Lynn is actually insane now. Lynn is a monster.
As Troy and Lynn turn to leave, Juliana reveals that the wound on the back of Brett's head was from Troy, who had murdered the man. After they leave, Troy tries to explain that Brett was a monster that deserved to die, and Lynn surmises that Juliana must have killed herself when she found out that Troy was just as much of a monster. The pair are then chased by more actual monsters before finding a bridge out of town, but they are stopped by Christabella and a monstrous manifestation of Brett. They try to fight the monsters off, but are unsuccessful, prompting Troy to offer himself up in exchange for Lynn's freedom, and Christabella takes the offer, killing Troy and allowing Lynn to cross the bridge. As she reaches the other side, a couple in a car pick her up and drive her away from Silent Hill. Later, Christabella reveals that she had been recording Troy's death, and later a group of young adults watch the tape. One of them, called Clown, reveals that he took the tape from Lynn.
Christabella here is a true YouTuber through and through. Crazy.
When she was at the hospital a year prior, but that the contents of it have changed since he originally watched it. Seeing something of interest, Clown's girlfriend Lauren states that they need to go to Silent Hill themselves.
Of course, yeah.
The group arrives in Silent Hill with a camcorder, and Lauren reveals that she saw symbols on the tape that matched a tome she read containing evocations to raise spirits, or even gods. She states that there were 6 demons' names written on the walls in the video, and she figures the rest of the graffiti in town must contain the rest of this riddle. Soon after, however, a fight breaks out amongst the group, and the man who initiated the fight walks off in anger. He is then killed by Christabella, and Lauren suddenly finds herself in a dark room.
Of course.
There, she is confronted by a man holding a file of her darkest secrets, including feeling responsible for her younger sister's murder, before tendrils sprout from his chest, and he begins to envelop her. She then awakens inside a mall, where a boy called Payne, her boyfriend's brother, grabs her and kisses her, asking if she's ever going to tell Clown about their relationship.
Okay, well, that's kind of fucked up.
Isn't serious. The group is then attacked by monsters, and they fight them off while Lauren tries to use a spell from the book, which she is unable to do before she is captured and taken away by one of the creatures.
All right.
The rest of the group are able to ignite the remaining monsters to escape, but they are stopped by Christabella. But as she speaks to the group, she is smacked over the head. As she turns, she sees Lauren, who had escaped from the creatures with the book. Christabella then greets the woman, calling her Big Sis, revealing that the young girl is a nightmare manifestation of her murdered sibling. Lauren begins to recite an evocation, causing Christabella to burst into flame before she dies before her sister's eyes. Or at least she pretends to. The girl reveals her ruse and states that she's had a lot of time to hone her powers, causing Lauren and her friends to run away, despite her sister laughing at their attempt to flee. Elsewhere, another group of Lauren's friends fight another monster of Christabella's creation, and they're able to successfully defeat it. As they recuperate, however, what remains of Troy Abernathy appears, with tendrils protruding from his chest. Troy apologizes as he doesn't want to do what he's about to do, but he is forced to in his current, quote, position. He then kills each member of the group. Meanwhile, Lauren's group escapes Christabella. They find some guns at a sporting goods store, and Payne whispers to Lauren that Clown may know about their affair. She then tries to call the other group, but Troy answers the phone instead. Troy tells her about 2 more groups of her friends that are in danger, one at the lighthouse and one at Midwich Elementary School. Then he forces her to relive the day when she allowed her sister to go with a pair of boys who were secretly being used by child abductors, who murdered Christabella and the boys not long after.
That's why she feels guilty.
Lauren is able to escape the vision with the help of her friends, and they split up to go to the lighthouse and the school to save the rest of their friends. As Clown, Payne, and Lauren drive off, they're attacked by a monster, and Lauren is forced to drive the car off the road into a tree. They survive the crash, but the brothers are left unconscious. Christabella then appears to speak with Lauren, and Lauren grabs the book once again, But her sister is unaffected, knowing that the last time she tried to use it, nothing happened. Lauren then reveals that she had used the book to, quote, mark her friends, and now that they've been killed, she's able to bring them back from the dead to fight fire.
That's crazy.
While her zombies begin to fight the monsters, the brothers regain consciousness in the car. However, they are soon swarmed by another group of monsters. Lauren tries to force Christabella to call them off, but she simply states that she can't, as they don't belong to her. While Lauren tries to get her zombies to protect the car, Christabella won't let them past her monsters unless Lauren agrees to do what she wants.
Zombie v zombie.
Lauren reluctantly agrees, and Christabella's monsters protect the brothers. Christabella then reveals that she brought Lauren to Silent Hill as part of a plan to help her gain control of the town, as she is now in the middle of a power struggle. Meanwhile, at the lighthouse, one of the friends, Hogg, is met by Troy Abernathy, who stands over the corpses of the dead friends that were there. While Troy states that he had nothing to do with their deaths, he does have other plans for Hogg. Lauren is sent to the Brookhaven Hospital, and she tries to find who Christabella had been fighting with. While she explores, her undead friends tell her how much they enjoy their current state. However, they are soon all ignited into flame.
The undead is still they're still alive. Okay, I thought maybe there was like an expiry thing, but okay, sure.
And a man emerges from the carnage.
Proud of him.
Waitley, the very person she's looking for. Meanwhile, in the car wreck, Payne tries to tell his brother about his affair with his girlfriend, but Clown stops him, stating that he already knows. Christabella then rips the roof off the car and asks them to be her new friends, as Troy isn't answering him, and she needs to teach him a lesson to not cross her. Back in the hospital, Waitley blames Lauren for bringing Christabella's evil to Silent Hill. Lauren tries to use the book, but Waitley simply lights it aflame with his powers.
That's rough, man.
Just as Waitley threatens to kill Lauren, Hogg and Troy arrive, and Troy reveals that Waitley serves the Order before Hogg shoots him with a shotgun. A monster emerges from Waitley's body, and his army of creatures begin to attack. As they begin to fight them off, Troy asks Lauren to open a nearby door and find the sleeping patient inside the room. He states that she is the source of all of the darkness in Silent Hill, and awaking her will bring it to an end. Lauren opens the door, but as she's about to enter, Christabella stops her, threatening to kill her boyfriends if she doesn't help her regain control over Troy to kill the patient so she can take full control over Silent Hill. Lauren realizes that the power to make things right exists within her, and she's able to banish all of the monsters as well as her own thralls. She's then able to limit her sister's powers before leaving her with Troy to treat her.
That is
on the outskirts of Silent Hill, Payne and Clown find Lauren and ask her to go home with them. She simply states that she is home, before stating that she plans to stay there with Hogg.
Planning to stay in Silent Hill is crazy.
As Lauren walks back in.
That's crazy.
Inside, Lauren notices the fog beginning to lift, and she lifts her arms into the air and claims that it's going to be a beautiful day.
You do you, bro. You do you, I guess.
At some later point, we once again
there's a lot of
Christabella
these comics.
And Troy
Holy.
Abernathy in Silent Hill, preparing to head somewhere in a car. Meanwhile, a woman named Connie Mills.
Okay, so at this point, Christabella and Troy, they're both monsters. Like, Troy has the freaking tentacle thing in his chest, and Christabella is basically like the most powerful wizard of our time.
Hill, preparing to head somewhere in a car. Meanwhile, a woman named Connie Mills speaks in a store with an acquaintance about her former relationship with famed actor Kenneth Carter. However, the store begins to transform into an other world that only Connie can see, where she is grabbed by a monster and disappears, leaving only the words Silent Hill scratched into the ground. Back in Silent Hill, Christabella grows annoyed with the changes Lauren made to the town, making it more safe and boring. She goes to sleep, but when she wakes up, she finds the town back in its hellish, monstrous form. Christabella tries to go to Lauren's room to get her sister's book, but finds the door chained shut in a very familiar way. Christabella finds a monster and tries to get it to help her tear down the door, but instead of following her commands, the monster instead bites her hand, and she starts to bleed, making her realize that she is somehow alive once more. In Los Angeles, Kenneth Carter watches a screening of his new movie in his home with his girlfriend Jessica Aldrich and his dog Bear. He takes a call with John Cross, a private investigator, and tasks him with finding out who his parents are, no matter the cost. Cross then informs him of Connie's disappearance, and he hangs up. Kenneth tells Jessica about Connie, and she grows extremely jealous. So jealous that her face opens up and she transforms into a monstrous creature. Meanwhile, in Silent Hill, Christabella tries to hide from the monsters in the antique shop, but instead finds a creature representing the Order, who is upset at
the
Lauren's
Order.
meddling. While the creature threatens to kill Christabella, the girl states that they're working for the same thing, and offers a deal. Back in Kenneth's house, the actor runs into his bathroom and watches his reflection mutate before the room transforms into the other world. And as a monster appears, he is forced to fight it. Kenneth's paintings by Ike Isaacs then transform into portals to the other dimension, and Bear jumps through one. Before Kenneth can chase him inside, a woman named Lenora appears
so many
before
different
him and
names
offers
right
to help
now.
him
Oh my
find
God.
Connie in exchange for him playing his part in Something New That's Coming. Another monster then appears and drags Kenneth away to Silent Hill. When Kenneth awakens in the town, he begins to look for Connie, but is soon met by Christabella, who tricks him with her childish demeanor, obviously with something else in mind for the man. Meanwhile, Bear arrives in Silent Hill and somehow befriends the monsters.
Wild,
Kenneth
okay.
and Christabella explore the town and reach an abandoned movie theater. Inside, Kenneth is surprised to find his own birth certificate listing his real name, Joshua Reynolds, as well as several other documents regarding his past. He can't investigate too much as they're soon met by monsters, causing them to flee to an auditorium. There, the pair take a seat and watch the movie that's showing.
I don't think it's the best time to watch a movie, I'm not gonna lie.
The film depicts Kenneth promoting the town of Silent Hill and ends with a video of Connie. In the video, Connie tells Kenneth that he must stop, quote, wearing someone else's skin and be true to himself.
That's a
before
crazy
showing him
choice
that
of
in his
words.
house in the real world, his new girlfriend Jessica has been murdered by an axe to the skull, with a note written in her blood putting the blame on Kenneth. Connie then tries to force Kenneth to admit he committed the murder, but he continues to deny it, and this Connie is revealed to be Lenora in disguise. Just then, Troy Abernathy enters the theater, deformed and monstrous, who states that he is there to make Christabella pay for what she's done, threatening Kenneth as well. Troy explains the twisted world of Silent Hill to Kenneth, and Christabella reveals her powers, stopping Troy with—
Oh my god, wait, this is crazy. We're getting into like actual anime fights now. Oh my lord.
some kind of attack that causes her to pass out. Despite Lenora's warning, Kenneth carries Christabella out of the theater and tries to get to safety, but he is attacked by several monsters. As he becomes surrounded, he is surprised to see Ike Isaacs arrive with a gun to protect him, and with his—
Wasn't this guy dead? He was trapped in the other dimension with like the monsters. All right, sure.
trusty canine companion, Bear. Christabella wakes up and helps Kenneth and Ike fight off the creatures. Meanwhile, back in the real world, Jessica Aldrich's body is examined, and her autopsy reveals that the axe wound in her head wasn't the cause of her death. Rather, it was placed there post-mortem. Her actual cause of death was something unexplainable eating her. Somewhere in Silent Hill, Connie awakens in a tub, being worked on by two monstrous nurses. She looks before her to spot Lenora, who speaks with the woman. Connie tries to respond, but finds that she can't speak. Lenora reveals that since a single word from her lips can, quote, save Kenneth's soul, she's taken away her voice. She then states that Connie is an empty vessel, but one that will be filled soon.
Let me guess, to summon the god.
Town, Ike speaks with Kenneth and Christabella, and the girl reveals that, like Troy, Ike is now dead, and simply serves her sister.
Oh, so he is
Lauren.
dead, okay.
Ike doesn't believe this, and states that he was sent to help take Kenneth to something that he'll need, but he doesn't know what it is. The group see lights in the distance, and head there to find a festival the monsters are holding for Lenora. Ike finds the item he was tasked with locating, a large mystical blade that can take souls. When Christabella causes Ike to accidentally cut himself with it, the monsters from the festival smell his blood and begin to attack. Kenneth grabs Ike's gun and begins to slay them, transforming into the murderer Lenora wanted him to be. Kenneth is then wounded, and his attacker is revealed to be Lenora, who teases that his parents may have some kind of connection to Silent Hill, before showing him the real world once again, where he has supposedly murdered the investigator and coroner looking into Jessica's murder. Lenora takes Kenneth to where she is keeping Connie and explains the part she wants Kenneth to play, being the other world's emissary and spokesperson in the real world. She then gives Kenneth a choice to kill either Connie, Bear, or Christabella by midnight, or else they will all die. What she doesn't know, however, is that Christabella is holding the blade. Christabella throws the dagger at Lenora, and it impales her chest. The clock then stops at 1 minute to midnight.
Oh, nice.
Before Christabella can celebrate, Lenora pulls the dagger from her chest and reveals that since she has no soul, the blade has no power on it.
That's crazy,
Christabella then runs off, and Bear follows her, leaving Connie to be Kenneth's only choice. He then picks up a nearby axe and swings it towards Connie, slashing her chains and allowing her to escape.
Oh, he's gonna sacrifice himself.
Back in the real world, a woman is being interviewed by a man with a company called WTM Media about a murder she witnessed. which she reveals was committed by none other than famous actor Kenneth Carter. The company is planning to buy exclusive rights to her story, and she tells it to the man, who introduces himself by a single name, Waitley.
Oh my god, Waitley again.
Silent Hill, Lenora finds Bear, but the dog is able to snatch the dagger from her and run off. Kenneth looks for Connie, Bear, and Christabella, and he finds Lauren's house. As he prepares to enter, he is stopped by his victims in the real world, Jessica and the police investigator, but he ignores them, chopping the chains to Lauren's room.
Sure.
As he enters, he finds her book, but is more shocked to find the ghastly figure of his own father. Elsewhere,
what is
Christabella
happening?
is tricked by Troy Abernathy, who lures her into a jazz club to enact his revenge on her. He is stopped from doing so by a seemingly possessed Connie, who simply states the empty vessel has been filled.
Reminds you of Hollow Knight now.
Lenora is then found by Waitley, and it is revealed that she serves the man. She states that she'll do anything for him and their cause, but he reveals that he knows the truth. That Lenora is none other than Lauren LaRoche in disguise.
What? Okay, that was a crazy twist.
In the jazz club, the being that possessed Connie absorbs Troy's soul, and Christabella tries to fight, but uses her abilities to teleport away. She then travels.
Yeah, we're going full anime here.
Travels to Bear's location and takes the dagger from him. Meanwhile, Kenneth speaks with his father, who reveals that he and his wife conceived Kenneth with the sole intention of having him become famous so he could spread the word of Silent Hill and bring more and more people into the nightmare.
That's
Kenneth's
so
mother,
fucked up.
a monster in disguise, planned the whole thing, seducing a
Oh
human,
my
his father,
lord.
in order to have a half-human child that could live in the real world. His father then states that it's up to him whether he wants to live up to their plan or not. Elsewhere, Waitley and Lauren battle, and just as Waitley gets the upper hand, Kenneth arrives and presses the book up against the man's head, burning him. Meanwhile, Christabella stabs Connie with the dagger, and she transforms into a massive creature, one assumed to be the incarnation of a god,
of course,
Samael,
again,
which then arrives at the battle. Lauren fights the creature inhabiting Connie, and Kenneth is forced to use his axe to finish her. However, as he plants the axe in her skull, an explosion occurs, and Kenneth is startled awake inside a bed. In it, he's shocked to find Connie, still alive and well, next to him. Kenneth finds himself in some kind of paradise, where he was never an actor and instead he lives on a farm with Connie and Bear. Elsewhere, Lauren lives with Ike in France, and the pair watch the news to see Waitley arrested for the murders. Meanwhile, Christabella remains in Silent Hill and retakes her place as its ruler, at least in her own reality.
So there's like multiple timelines?
At some other point in time, former hitman Jack Stanton and his girlfriend Jill Conway.
Bro, how many comics are there? Oh my god. Okay, I think this is the last comic, and then we're finally going back into the games again.
When they make a pit stop just outside.
Wait, hang on. What's the names again? Jack Stanton and Jill Conway.
Friend Jill Conway are traveling by car when they make a pit stop just outside Silent Hill.
Your worst mistake.
They stop at Karen's barbecue, and Jill uses the restroom. And as Jack watches her walk off, he reflects on their relationship. As it turns out, Jill is
Jack's boss's wife.
Jack's boss's wife. And the pair ran off together to start a new life after they fell in love, which gave Jack the inspiration to try to be more than just a hitman. Jack walks into the nearby pump station and pays for some gas, but as he walks out, he's met with a pistol to the face, held by Dewey O'Connor, while his brother Liam and another associate, Jimmy Shea, surround him.
Hang on, there's so many names here. There's so many names. Hang on, okay, so Dewey O'Connor, who is Dewey O'Connor? While his brother Liam and another associate, Jimmy O'Shea, surround him. Okay, so he's like fighting a 1v3 right now.
Dewey tells Jack that they were sent by their boss, Finn Conway, to retrieve his wife, Jill.
Yeah.
Dewey grabs Jill and Liam pistol whips Jack. Suddenly, a shotgun blast rings out. The O'Connor brothers are blown away by the emerging pump station attendant. Jimmy throws Jill in his car and speeds off, while Jack can only watch as he slips into unconsciousness. While out, Jack dreams of his childhood with his father, who was also a hitman. Jack's dad taught him how to use a firearm and forced him to shoot his own beloved pet dog to train him how to kill.
That's fucked up.
When Jack awakens, the old attendant is dealing with the bodies, and he tells Jack that Jimmy drove up to Silent Hill. Jack gets in his car and speeds off to the town, and he finds...
Yeah, so it was the brother of Jack and two other people. So the attendant killed the two other people, while the brother took Jill into the car and they sped off to Silent Hill. Yeah. So right now, his own brother is holding Jill hostage and is speeding off to Silent Hill.
Vehicle quicker than expected. However, he also spots the man dead on the ground with two dog-like monsters consuming his corpse. Jack gets out to investigate, but finds Jimmy's car empty.
Oh, Jill
he then looks over to find Jimmy somehow standing up.
That's crazy.
The undead man speaks to him, stating that Jill is waiting for him in Silent Hill.
Okay.
As the man transforms into a more monstrous form, Jack is forced to pull his gun and shoot him, before getting back into his car and driving into the town.
Nice.
Once he reaches Silent Hill, Jack runs out of gas and exits his car to find the foggy town completely empty. He grabs some weapons from his trunk before beginning his search for Jill.
Nice.
In Boston, Finn Conway sits at his bar, concerned that he hasn't been able to get a hold of the men he sent to retrieve his wife.
Yeah, so Finn Conway, this is the boss, the name of the boss. So now he's worried about the hitman that he sent over because he hasn't gotten word back.
He then decides that if he wants something done right, he has
Gotta
to do it himself,
yeah.
And heads off to handle the situation. Back in Silent Hill, Jack finds Jill's bloodstained dress outside of Pete's Bolorama.
Oh, yikes.
As he goes to investigate, a giant monster emerges and attacks, and he's forced to fight it. Suddenly, Jill emerges from the bowling alley dressed as a nurse and scolds Jack for hurting the creature, not seeing it as a monster. She then says that the town is of their creation, and all of their victims are there waiting for them. He tries to console her, but she runs off frantically, leaving Jack with the creature, who awakens and attacks once again. Jack sees the creature's face and recognizes it as that of Tim Delaney, a man he killed for Finn a decade prior. He kills the man again
one
and
of
runs
his
off
victims.
after Jill, but instead finds another woman tied up to a crucifix, surrounded by monsters. Jack sees the faces of other people he killed on the monsters, and he kills them to protect the woman before cutting her down.
Yeah, because Jack here is a hitman, so he's killed a lot of people. And I guess those people are becoming the monsters right now. Yeah. So this is Sarah, okay.
Sarah, and explains that she was with her parents before a siren rang out. Then she found herself tied up somehow. He tries to give her a gun to protect herself, but she refuses, stating that she hates guns and won't use one. Meanwhile, Finn Conway arrives at the pump station outside the town and asks the attendant if he had seen his men roll through. The old man lies and denies ever seeing them, but when he's threatened with a gun, he does state that Jack and Jill came through looking
Jack and Jill went up the hill. Jack and Jill went up the Silent Hill. Wow.
Silent Hill. In the town, Jack and Sarah come across Brookhaven Hospital, and Jack decides to investigate, given that Jill was wearing a nurse's uniform.
Yeah.
When they enter, Jack hears screaming upstairs and rushes up, finding a room filled with dead monsters on gurneys, with Jill looking over them. Outside,
something definitely happened to Jill.
Jack's car and follows his footsteps. In the hospital, Jill is hysterical over not being able to save the monsters. Jack tries to calm her down when Sarah enters and reveals that she also sees the dead monsters as people.
What?
Sarah pulls back one of the covers and finds a pair of corpses, her own parents.
Oh,
Sarah
shit.
then realizes that the bodies in the room are the people Jack has killed, and accuses him of killing her parents. Before he can respond to her, however, a loud siren blares, causing Jack and Jill to fall to the floor. Jack then remembers the night of Sarah's parents' death. His final hit job for Finn was to kill Councilman Linwood. While Jack was able to kill him and his wife in their sleep, as he went to escape, he was spotted by Sarah, and he shot her in the head, killing the girl.
So Sarah is also a victim.
He finds Sarah now standing before.
Oh, and Jill died, which is why Jill also sees them as fellow corpses. Oh.
For him with a team of monstrous nurses, preparing to get payback for what he's done. Sarah confronts Jack about killing her family and mocks him for never having one of his own.
Damn, that's a good one.
Jack and Jill have a disease, murder and greed, respectively. She states that they can make things right by curing their disease. Jill says her goodbyes to Jack and tells Sarah to cure her, resulting in the girl and her nurses stabbing her to death as Jack watches on, powerless to help. Sarah then gives Jack a chance to cure himself, but he instead chooses to run, finding her waiting for him at every turn. Outside the hospital, Jack is met by Finn, who holds a revolver to his head. Jack reveals to Finn that his wife is dead, and Sarah then commands a Pyramid Head to kill the man so he won't kill Jack first. Jack tries to run out of town, but finds his childhood dog, the one he was forced to kill, and his guilt rushes over him. Jack falls to his knees, and Sarah appears before him. He tries to apologize to the girl, but she tells him it's too late.
No running.
He then realizes what he must do, as he puts the gun to his own head. He then finishes his last hit job, this time on himself.
Right.
And Sarah disappears, leaving the dead man as the fog lifts in Silent Hill.
Okay, I like this one because it's very sort of simple, straightforward. There's no birthing of a god or whatever.
Sometime later, we find prisoner Murphy Pendleton in the Ryle State Prison, where he is led by a corrupt corrections officer named George Sewell.
Wait, what's the name again? Murphy Pendleton. Prisoner Murphy Pendleton in the Ryle State Prison.
Where he is led by a corrupt corrections officer named George Sewell to the showers. In the showers, Murphy turns on all the water lines to steam up the security cameras before a man named Patrick Napier enters. Napier is surprised to see Murphy, as he is supposed to be sequestered. Murphy then tells Napier that they used to be neighbors before he grabs a weapon left for him and savagely assaults Napier. As he goes to deliver the final blow, we see Murphy wake up in his cell, waking from a dream in which he is reliving the event. Sewell is waiting at his cell door, and he cuffs the prisoner as he escorts him to be transferred to the Wayside Maximum Security Penitentiary. Murphy gets on the transport bus with a few other prisoners, as well as Officer Anne-Marie Cunningham.
Another baddie.
As the bus passes by Silent Hill, Murphy dozes off and dreams of his son, Charlie. Comes to a sudden drop, and he turns to avoid it, causing the bus to careen off the side of the road and flip down
that's
the hill.
Wonderful. Now you guys are stuck in Silent Hill.
Murphy survives the crash and awakens in the woods, where he makes a break for escape. As he tries to climb up a rocky wall, however, he is held at gunpoint by an arriving Cunningham, who crosses a narrow ledge to reach him.
Oh, Cunningham's gonna die.
Loses her footing, and Murphy can try to help her, but either way, she falls into the abyss below, leaving Murphy able to continue on.
The baddie died. Damn.
As Murphy reaches Silent Hill, he is met by Silent Hill's seemingly eternal postman, Howard Blackwood.
Oh, it's this person
offers
again.
Murphy his help.
Wait, Howard Blackwood was from the first game from the 1800s. Crazy.
Leave the town, but as they speak, Murphy spots a creature in a wheelchair observing the conversation from a nearby window. When he turns back, however, the creature is gone, and the window is boarded up.
That's right.
Howard ignores Murphy's paranoia and tells him he can probably leave the town via the nearby Skytram before he mysteriously vanishes to continue delivering his mail. As Murphy passes through the kitchen of a nearby diner, he tries to stop a gas leak. This goes awry, however, and a fire breaks out, forcing Murphy to pull the fire alarm and activate the sprinkler system. As the kitchen fills with water, the walls and ceiling begin to crack away, transforming the diner and taking Murphy on his first trip to the other world.
Domain expansion.
As he tries to escape, he comes across the Void, a black hole-like vortex that begins to absorb everything around it, forcing Murphy to run through a horrible game mechanic to escape as it follows.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, Murphy escapes the Void and returns to foggy Silent Hill, where he exits the diner and explores an adjacent building where he finds a fellow escapee named Sanchez, seemingly beating a woman to death. When Murphy stops him, however, the woman is revealed to be an otherworldly monster, which slashes Sanchez's throat, killing him instantly. Murphy fights off the creature and continues his search, finding a change of clothes, and in the pockets, he finds a police badge adorned with a mourning band.
A mourning band?
Murphy then reaches the Skytram and rides it across the Devil's Pit Gorge to emerge
the Devil's Pit Gorge
on an observation deck. There, Murphy meets a depressed former tour guide named J.P. Slater, who states
just like me
there's
for
a
real.
train through a nearby cavern that can take him to the hillside area of the town. Passing through the caverns, Murphy comes across JP once again, now contemplating jumping off of a lookout deck. JP was accused of causing a train crash that killed 8 children due to his drinking, and Murphy can either console or chastise him. Either way, JP jumps off the ledge into the gorge and is certain death. Murphy finds the train and is able to get it operational again, but the other world begins to invade his trip, and monsters begin to attack, causing his car to derail and he loses consciousness. When Murphy awakens, he finds himself at the exit of the train ride, but as he goes to leave, he is stopped by Cunningham, who survived
the baddie is alive!
Her fall. She starts to place him under arrest and searches his person, finding the badge, which takes her by surprise. She demands to know where he got this badge, but Murphy states his ignorance of everything going on. Cunningham considers killing Murphy, stating that he doesn't
There's
deserve
always
to
a
live.
baddie in every
Can't
Silent
bring
Hill
herself
game, man.
to do it, and collapses in a fit of emotional rage as she demands Murphy leave her alone, a request he complies with.
Well, I mean, technically you were the one that kind of got into Murphy's face, so, you know, you can't really get into someone's face and then request them to leave her alone. I mean, like, that's what he was gonna do anyway, but anyway.
Rage as she demands Murphy leave her alone, a request he complies with. Murphy explores the hillside area until it begins to rain, when he then takes shelter in an abandoned apartment building. Inside, he hears a radio broadcast from a DJ named Bobby Ricks, which
Bobby
features
Ricks, 1001 FM with the world's latest hits. Today we'll be playing Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter.
Directly to Murphy. As Murphy leaves the complex, he runs into Howard again, and he gives Murphy directions to the radio station. When Murphy gets to the station building, he finds his parole papers tacked to the door, triggering a memory of the prison.
Oh.
In the memory, Murphy is speaking to Sewell.
I'm not gonna lie, I read that as Murphy is spanking. Okay, sorry.
Some kind of offer before Officer Frank Coleridge calls Murphy over to hand him his paperwork. Coleridge warns Murphy not to work with Sewell as he's bad news, and he instead encourages Murphy to keep up his good behavior before going up before the parole board. The pair then discuss why Murphy even ended up in prison. Frank is confused as to why someone with no prior criminal record would break the law, stealing a police cruiser,
oh my god, GTA.
and end up locked up working with a corrupt officer. He then gives Murphy one more word of encouragement to stay on the straight and narrow before leaving him in his cell. As Murphy ascends the building to reach the radio station, he has another memory of a conversation with Sewell, where it is revealed that Murphy got himself arrested on purpose so he could be in the same jail as Patrick Napier.
Oh, so he went in just to kill Napier.
It turns out, this opportunity for an ambush was set up by Sewell in exchange for a favor Murphy would owe him.
Oh, wow.
Murphy finally reaches the DJ and asks him what the dedications mean. DJ Bobby Ricks initially acts like there's nothing amiss, and he has no idea what Murphy's referring to, but then lowers his voice and expresses his joy that someone finally heard his cries for help. He then tells Murphy about a boat at the marina that they can use to escape the town, but Murphy needs to find the keys. Suddenly, Cunningham bursts in with her gun drawn and tries to use Rick's phone, but the three are attacked by monsters. The lights cut, and when they turn back on, Murphy is back in the other world, now alone. Murphy is again forced to run from the void, and when his surroundings transform into the prison-like area, he is once again observed by the wheelchair-bound creature, the Wheelman, before he falls from the building and finds himself hanging from the clock tower before he falls.
Oh, goodbye, Murphy.
Murphy then awakens on a bench back in Silent Hill, where Howard comes across him once again. Howard hands him a letter from St. Maria's Monastery and expresses that Murphy should go there. Murphy heads to the monastery and speaks with a nun, who tells him that someone had died, and Murphy was the only family they could find. She then asks him to meet her in the morgue when he is ready. Murphy is confused to find the monastery nearly destroyed, and he's forced to fight through various monsters to find his way to the morgue. On the way, he is blocked by a locked door with a young boy on the other end who refuses to let Murphy in as he believes him to be the boogeyman. The only way the boy will let Murphy prove his safety is by reciting a poem the children in the orphanage repeat to keep the boogeyman away. Murphy travels through the monastery, finding various pieces of paper with parts of the poem written on them. As he collects these pieces, he finds himself remembering more events from his past, namely surrounding his son Charlie's death, in which he was drowned by a child abductor, one who was later believed to be Patrick Napier, revealing Murphy's desire to kill the man in prison. Murphy returns to the boy and recites the poem, but he simply ignores him. Just then, the real boogeyman appears and kills the boy. As Murphy watches the boogeyman suffocate the boy, he realizes the child is a manifestation of his own son, and he realizes that once again, he is helpless to save him. The boogeyman leaves and the door opens, allowing Murphy to rush over and mourn the boy. Just then, a girl spots him and accuses him of hurting the boy before running off. Not wanting another child to be harmed, he chases after her, but the monastery begins to transform into its otherworldly counterpart. Domain expansion. Murphy peak hallucination, I know. He runs from the void, as well as the boogeyman, and reaches the little girl, holding hands with the Wheelman. As Murphy approaches, the floor falls
what a funny name, the Wheelman.
In the foggy reality version of the morgue, where he meets the nun. The nun removes a sheet to reveal the corpse to be the boogeyman, asking him to sign for his, quote, son's body.
What? The boogeyman is his son?
Murphy breaks down, admitting that what he did to Napier didn't actually change anything. Murphy takes a key from a necklace on the boogeyman, and the figure grabs him before swinging his massive hammer, teleporting Murphy to the lake where his son drowned. The boogeyman emerges from the water, and the two battle, with Murphy gaining the upper hand and using the monster's own hammer to defeat him. Murphy finds himself back in the morgue, and he approaches the body, finding its face to be oscillating between his own and Napier's. A manifestation of Charlie appears and congratulates Murphy on killing the boogeyman, but Murphy concedes that it ultimately meant nothing, as it couldn't bring his son back.
Yeah.
He then takes the key and finds that it has the word freedom written on it. Murphy reaches the marina and boards Rick's boat, using the key to start the engine. Murphy then smiles as he drives the boat into the sunrise.
Wait, hang on. What about the DJ? Remember, the DJ told him about the boat, and the DJ was like, I'm really afraid I need the key. So he finds the key, and then he just leaves the DJ to die? That's crazy.
The fog over the town begins to lift, and the nightmare appears to be over. Until Cunningham pulls her gun and presses on the back of his neck, bringing the fog and Murphy's dread back to its former state.
Okay.
Cunningham demands Murphy turn the boat around and return to the town. She states that the town has shown her things, and that they have to complete their unfinished business before the town will let them leave.
Yeah, that's a weird
Murphy
kind of pacing decision.
saying that she might as well shoot him, which causes her to pull the trigger.
She actually
In
does
another
shoot.
flashback, we see the moment Sewell asked Murphy to repay his favor. Murphy's job is to kill someone in the showers during a riot. While Sewell doesn't explain why he wants the man dead, he does state that he, quote, deserves it. Just then, Murphy wakes up inside his prison cell with the Wheelman sitting outside. After the creature leaves, his cell door opens and Murphy makes his way to the showers. There, Murphy finds the crime scene evidence of a murder, and he eventually finds a body bag on the ground of the showers. Murphy examines the body and it disappears, transforming the prison into the other world with it. Murphy runs from the void, fights a gauntlet of enemies, and faces rooms of death traps.
Oh, I love what?
Murphy finds a room with the scales of justice, and he puts the evidence from the shower on the scale. A pair of doors open, and Murphy goes through them to find a giant version of the Wheelman, which begins to attack him. Murphy is then forced to navigate the cell block area to climb various watchtowers and pull the Wheelman's life support tubes, eventually killing the giant creature. Murphy finds himself back in the shower, standing over the corpse of the Wheelman. Cunningham appears and holds him at gunpoint yet again, but Murphy states that he acted in self-defense, pointing at the creature's body to prove it. When he looks over, however, he sees that the corpse on the shower is actually Frank Coleridge, the friendly officer who only ever tried to help him. In another flashback, we learn that when Murphy went to the showers to repay his favor to Sewell, he was shocked and saddened to learn his target was Frank.
Oh no.
Sewell arrives and reveals that Murphy is going to kill him to prevent him from snitching on Sewell's illegal conduct. Sewell then demands Murphy kill Frank, while Coleridge simply pleads for him not to. In present time, Anne tells Murphy that Frank Coleridge was her father, and the reason she became a police officer. She reveals that when Frank was attacked, he didn't die, but was left in a vegetative state, bound to a wheelchair.
The Wheelman.
She then begins to see Murphy as the boogeyman and reveals that she pulled the strings to get him transferred to the prison she worked at so she could enact her revenge. She then shoots Murphy, and he awakens as the boogeyman and attacks her.
Wow.
After the boogeyman incapacitates Cunningham, Murphy is given the choice to either kill or spare her. He ultimately chooses to spare her, and we learn that it was Sewell who actually beat Frank to his near death before pinning it on Murphy. Back in the fog world, Anne realizes that Murphy was innocent in her father's death, and the pair share a hug.
Aww.
After which they find themselves back in the real world after the bus crash. Cunningham hears a call on her radio about the location of Murphy Pendleton, and she simply responds that he's dead. Murphy asks her if she'll be okay, and she simply tells him that he better go before the reinforcements arrive.
All right.
Back at the prison, Anne meets Sewell in his office. She hands him her father's badge.
Oh, is this the... Oh, okay. So this is the continuation, okay.
And states that the two need to talk. While she holds a gun behind her back, remembering that while her father didn't believe in revenge,
oh, that's a cold line. That's a bar.
At another point in time, we find a man named Alex Shepard being pushed on a gurney through some kind of demented hospital.
Okay, that's another name. Alex Shepard.
He witnesses a doctor being impaled by a giant blade. Alex breaks free of his restraints and explores the hospital, finding what appears to be his younger brother, Joshua, behind a locked cell door. Alex tries to call out for his brother, but the boy simply ignores him. Alex unlocks the door and Josh runs. As Alex follows him, the hospital transforms into the other world, and Alex is forced to fend off attacking nurse monsters. When he finds Josh again, he's behind another locked door, and he asks Alex to find his toy rabbit. Alex finds the toy and retrieves it, bringing it back to his brother. Instead of taking the toy, however, the boy looks at Alex in fear and runs off.
This boy is such a little shit.
As Alex rides in an elevator to follow the boy, he hears a metal scraping, and the doors are suddenly opened by a large blade that impales him. Suddenly, Alex awakens out of this nightmare inside a semi-truck being driven by former Silent Hill visitor Travis Grady.
Travis! I remember Travis. Wait, he was, I think in one of the older games. It's the trucker. Yeah, Silent Hill Origins, I think. Wild.
Grady drops off Alex in the town of Shepherd's Glen and drives off, bidding him a farewell and good luck. Alex explores the town and finds it to be practically abandoned.
That's a neat
and covered
Easter
in a
egg.
Fog. He soon comes across another person, however, when he is surprised by Judge Margaret Holloway, who tells him he should meet with her daughter, Elle, while he is home. Alex returns to his childhood home, finding a flashlight he once gave his brother Josh after he had a bad dream. Alex then comes across...
I've seen a lot of these flashlights in video games. Is this actually a thing? I've never seen a flashlight model like this before. What kind of fucking flashlight is this? He looks like he's holding like a piece of pipe that would connect like to your sink. You know what I mean? You saying that makes me feel... Anyway, moving on.
Flashlight he once gave his brother Josh after he had a bad dream. Alex then comes across his mother, Lillian, rocking in a chair and barely responsive. Alex tells her that he was discharged from the army after a short stint in a hospital. His mother then reveals that Josh has gone missing and his father has gone off to look for him. She then states that now everyone is gone, and he looks down to see his father, Sheriff Adam Shepard's gun in her lap. Alex takes the gun and promises to find his brother.
I thought she was gonna,
Alex then hears something, and his mother tells him it came from the basement, so he goes to investigate. In the flooded basement, Alex finds the source of the noise, a monster he's forced to fight.
Of course.
He then finds his father's workshop, where he recalls being scolded as a child to never enter. Alex
so his dad was a psycho.
The nearby graveyard, where he fights through more monsters and travels through the tombs of the town's founding families, his own being one of them. Also in the graveyard, Alex spots somebody digging graves. When he emerges from the graveyard, he finds his old friend
another
Elle Holloway,
baddie, holy.
who is hanging missing persons posters on a communal board. While she is happy to see him again, she nonetheless chastises him for leaving for the military without ever saying goodbye. Alex asks about the flyers, and she reveals that every day more and more people go missing in the town, and Alex fears that the worst has happened to his brother Josh. Elle then gives Alex a walkie-talkie, and he continues on his search.
Right.
Alex reaches a junkyard and...
I'm gonna call it now. Elle is gonna die. Elle is gonna die one way or another. Calling it now.
The town mechanic, Curtis Ackers, and Alex gives him his father's revolver, asking him to fix it. Curtis also advises Alex to ask Mayor Bartlett about Joshua's whereabouts, since the mayor seems to know everyone's business, revealing that the man digging the graves was the mayor. He then gives Alex a handgun in exchange for the revolver as a trade. The pair then muse about how all of the clocks in the town are stopped at 2:06, before Alex heads back to the graveyard to find the mayor. When he reaches the graveyard, however, he finds Mayor Bartlett gone, so he examines the Bartlett family tomb, where he opens a crypt to find an old watch. Suddenly, Alex hears a loud siren, which inexplicably causes him to
passing out. The classic Silent Hill.
At the entrance to the neighboring town of Silent Hill, also covered in a thick fog.
Crazy.
Alex examines his surroundings to find his brother, who runs in fear into the nearby Grand Hotel.
Bro, this
Alex follows and inside
keeps running. He's so annoying.
Much like James Sunderland's, a large man-like creature with a pyramid-shaped object on his head and a giant cleaver. the same cleaver he saw in his nightmare of the hospital. The boogeyman spots Alex, but simply glares at him before continuing on his way.
That's a crazy sword.
Alex finds Josh, but falls through a hole in the floor, landing in a room which transforms into the other world, where he finds Mayor Sam Bartlett, who also belongs to one of the founding families of the town.
Okay.
Alex hands Sam the watch he found, which belonged to his son Joey, who is also missing. And the mayor throws it onto the ground, where it absorbs into the dirt. Giant monster then emerges from the ground,
naturally,
and while Sam begs God for protection, the monster kills him in one blow. Alex is then forced to fight.
Yeah. We're gonna defeat this eldritch creature with 9 bullets in our handgun, of course. Insane.
And forced to fight and eventually kill the giant beast. As it dies, it falls through a hole and Alex passes out, falling through as well.
The plot armor is insane.
When Alex wakes up, he is locked in a holding cell in the Shepherd's Glen police station by the town's deputy, James Wheeler. Wheeler, just as confused about what's going on in the town, lets him out of the cell and the pair explore the building to try to find another descendant of one of the founding families, Dr. Martin Fitch. The pair get separated, and Alex soon finds Elle once again, protecting her from a giant monster.
At least she's not dead yet.
The sewers, where Elle reveals that her own sister is
one of the missing. Yeah, of course.
However, Alex loses Elle in the sewers, finding only a blood trail where she once was.
That's what exactly.
Alex exits the sewers and receives a call from Wheeler on his radio, and the pair agree to meet at Fitch's office. On the way, Alex finds a very distressed Fitch holding a blood-drenched scalpel before he runs into his office. Alex follows and finds Fitch's collection of dolls before the clinic transforms into the other world.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely not
Alex finds Fitch covered in self-inflicted cuts. Fitch states that he plans to give his daughter, Scarlet, also missing, a doll. Alex hands over the doll he found, and Fitch's wounds begin to take over his entire body as he drops the doll, which absorbs into his pool of blood. A mannequin-shaped monster then emerges and kills the doctor, prompting a battle.
Okay, the boobs on those mannequins are crazy. Are those really necessary?
With Alex.
Like, look at that. Insane.
After Alex defeats the creature, he gets pulled into the pool of blood before awakening back in Fitch's office, now with a key adorned with the same symbol Alex had seen on a pedestal in the town hall. Turning to the hall, Alex uses the key in the pedestal to open a secret passage underground. He explores the passage and finds information about some kind of pact the town's founding families made with God, as well as the Shepherd family's apparent
mentions of God.
He then finds a ceremonial dagger, which he remembers as the key to open his father's basement workshop.
And he's gonna stab himself.
Alex returns home and opens the door to the workshop, and inside he finds a key to the attic. There, Alex relives another memory, this time of his father giving Joshua a family heirloom, an important ring that he is to keep secret from everyone, including Alex. Alex then finds a letter from his father in the attic detailing that the Order is somehow behind the missing people in town.
The Order,
again. Must fight this evil inside.
Bro, this Order has been a persistent threat since the 1800s. How? How is this Order still a thing?
Hill. Alex questions his mother about the note and Silent Hill, but she only offers him her apologies. As he continues to press her for answers, the pair are attacked by cultists from the Order, dressed in hazmat suits.
The Order.
They kidnap his mother, but leave him behind as the house transforms into its otherworld counterpart.
Naturally.
Alex is
another
able to solve
domain
a series of puzzles
expansion,
incorporating his own memories before unlocking a giant door, returning the house to its normal state and allowing him to exit back into the town. There, Alex finds Elle, who states that her mom is also gone missing.
Wait, hang on. How is this possible? The last time we saw Elle, there was like a pool of blood and she was like being dragged away. How is she healthy?
Alex states that they'll be able to find all the missing people in Silent Hill before the pair receive a call from Wheeler, and they all agree to take a boat to the town. Aboard the boat, Wheeler expresses that Silent Hill has a bad history.
Bad is probably the understatement of the year.
A female officer had gone missing in the town. Additionally, Alex and Elle's parents told them to never go there.
So why are you going
her sister,
there?
Nora, went missing years ago as well. Unfortunately, as the boat reaches the pier, they are boarded and attacked by the Order soldiers once again, who kidnap Ellen Wheeler before Alex falls into the water.
Good job, Alex.
After he washes up on the shores of Silent Hill, Alex gets a call.
You can scream if you want? Okay, noted.
From Wheeler,
Duly
who
noted.
leads him to the Overlook Penitentiary, where he is able to fight through the Order to rescue Wheeler. Wheeler reveals that he heard the cultists taking a woman to solitary confinement, and the pair surmise that this must be Elle.
Oh.
The pair split up once again so Wheeler can man the security controls while Alex makes his way to solitary. When he arrives, however,
I feel like
he
splitting
finds
up
that the woman the order spoke of was not Elle, but instead his mother, tied up to a large torture rack-like device. She apologizes to Alex, telling him that she and his father could only choose one. The device begins to split her in two, and Alex pulls out his gun, deciding to either put her out of her suffering or allow her to live through her gruesome death.
That's crazy.
Either way, the prison transforms into the other world, where he is able to regroup with Wheeler. The pair eventually find Elle's mother, Judge Margaret Holloway, tied to a chair. Alex releases her, but a monster grabs Wheeler and pulls him into a trap in the wall.
Well, goodbye,
Alex
Wheeler.
tells Margaret to escape while he saves Wheeler.
Dude, if I was Alex, I'm just booking it. I'm sorry, Wheeler.
Runs off, glancing back with a sinister smirk as a door closes behind her. Alex tries to save Wheeler, but he's taken away as a giant monster emerges from the wall.
What is that?
Alex defeats it before seeing his brother run past. He follows Josh into a mysterious church. There, he finds a confessional where an unseen man describes his relationship with his two sons.
That's
one
his
of which
dad,
he
isn't
describes
he?
as treating horribly due to a choice.
Yeah, it has to be the dad.
He explains that he had never let the boy see the good things in life to make it, quote, easier for him, but his reasoning is not revealed. Alex is then given the choice to offer this man forgiveness.
Yeah, that's Alex's dad, 100%.
Afterwards, Alex discovers a door behind the church's organ, and through it he finds his father, Adam, tied up to his own torture device. Adam tells Alex that he can't save his brother and reveals that the dog tags around his neck aren't his own, but his father's. Adam explains to his son that he wasn't injured in battle, but instead was hospitalized for mental illness after an accident that occurred the night Adam gave Joshua the phone.
Oh, now Alex is gonna have a flashback and he's gonna remember the past. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Ring. Adam then opens his hand to reveal the ring, which Alex takes from him. Adam then asks Alex for forgiveness as the boogeyman suddenly appears and cleaves Adam in half, killing him instantly before walking off. Alex follows the boogeyman, finding an unused hazmat suit which he uses as a disguise. However, his disguise is soon seen through by none other than Curtis, the mechanic from Shepherd's Glen, who knocks him out and drags his body away. When Alex awakens, he finds himself strapped to a chair before Judge Margaret Holloway, who reveals the dark secret behind all of the missing children in Shepherd's Glen. As it turns out, the four families that founded the town were former members of the Order,
course
who left
they were.
Silent Hill to start a new life in a town of their own.
No, so they try to make a new Silent Hill in another place. That's fucked up.
Still fearing the wrath of the Order's god, they made a pact with it to keep the town safe. That pact required each of the families to sacrifice one of their own children every 30 years. Mayor Bartlett sacrificed his son Joey, Dr. Fitch sacrificed his daughter Scarlett, and Judge Holloway sacrificed her own daughter Nora.
That's so freak.
Sheriff Adam Shepard was supposed to sacrifice one of his sons, but failed to do so, breaking the pact and cursing the town, making all of the other sacrifices for naught and returning Shepherd's Glen to the Order's control. Margaret then inserts a drill into Alex's leg.
That is crazy.
But he fights her off, forcing her to turn the drill on herself before pushing it through her skull.
That is crazy.
Alex escapes and finds Elle, similarly being tortured by Curtis. Alex is able to kill Curtis and save Elle, and they make their way out of the facility.
Oh wow, I'm surprised Elle is still alive.
Wheeler, still alive, but stabbed in the chest with multiple knives. Alex can then save the man, provided he has the medical kit to do so. Alex then...
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think even the best team of doctors can save him, bro. Fucking 5 knives? Oh my god, that's like multi-organ failure. He's done for, man. Like,
Alex can then save the man, provided he has the medical kit.
How is he not bleeding out?
To do so. Alex then leaves Elle to get Wheeler to safety and heads off alone to finally find his brother.
I'm not gonna lie, Alex. Why did I call him Alex? Alex, your brother is cooked, bro. Just go away with Elle. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Tombs for each of the founding families, and etched on each are the names of the children they have sacrificed to the Order's god.
That's rough.
Alex examines the Shepard family tomb and is shocked to find his own name carved.
He was supposed to be
revealing the true motivation behind his parents' treatment of him.
Yeah.
Alex then finds himself reliving another memory. In this one, Alex takes Josh on a boat to Toluca Lake at night, and he teases the boy over their parents' coddling of the younger brother. Josh then takes out the family ring to taunt Alex back, but Alex tries to take the ring by force. In the ensuing struggle, Josh falls back and hits his head, concussing him as he falls into the water and drowns into Luca Lake. Later that night, Adam and Alex retrieve Josh's body, and Adam scolds his son for what he's done. The father reveals that he chose Alex, but by allowing Joshua to die instead, Alex has ruined everything, and the whole town will suffer for his mistake. This event threw Alex into a mental breakdown where he believed he could still somehow save his brother.
That's what happened.
Back in the crypt, the other world invades once again. A giant spider-like monster with a woman's face.
What is this? What the I'm not even going to question it.
Face appears and attacks Alex, forcing him to fight the demented creature.
What? What the fuck? Who comes up with these?
After he emerges victorious, he cuts open the monster, and his brother's body falls out. Alex kneels before his brother and places the ring and his flashlight on the boy. He then apologizes to his brother before leaving him behind. Alex then exits the church, emerging from a manhole to find Elle outside. She asks him what he saw down there.
Run away.
He simply responds, "What I needed to," before the pair walk off.
Poggers.
In the year 2010, an unnamed protagonist. A strange book on their birthday.
This guy again. This guy keeps popping up.
From an unnamed sender, postmarked from Silent Hill. The book, delivered by Howard Blackwood, contains all of the protagonist's memories. One night,
that's crazy.
The protagonist tries to rewrite their memories and finds themselves in an otherworld dungeon. After fighting through a bit, the protagonist finds Howard yet again, operating a store in the otherworld. Howard explains that the protagonist must find a weird sort of known as
premise.
Memory residue in order to change his memories.
This game is unlike all the other games that have come before it. Interesting.
When the protagonist awakens, they find that the events they rewrote came true, but every night they return to the nightmare. They spend several nights fighting through dungeons based around their friends, family, and other acquaintances. Eventually, the protagonist comes across a creature that represents their own wants and desires, and they destroy it. Free of its guardian, the protagonist is able to either lock away the book for good or use it for their own.
Remember, this reminds me of Jumanji, no?
At some point in the future,
that's
an
it.
unnamed
Interesting.
man wakes up in a room with a concrete floor and walls. The room is empty, save for a table and some tally marks on the walls, which also contain a single door. The man walks through the door and finds himself in the hallway of a seemingly normal, albeit a bit messy house. On one of the tables is a clock, stuck at 1 minute to midnight.
Interesting.
A radio plays a broadcast detailing the grisly murder of two families by their respective fathers, and the man continues to explore the house. While the only door in the hallway is locked, another at the bottom of a short set of stairs mysteriously leads to the same hallway he had previously entered. The man continues to loop through this hallway, finding
but there's always something different.
To be slightly different than the last.
Right.
Soon, strange things start to occur, like the locked door slamming open and shut, a baby's cry being heard.
Wait, this is such an interesting concept. Oh my god, that's disgusting.
Others. Soon, the man finds the locked door open and enters to find a flashlight inside a bloody bathroom.
I'm so happy I'm just watching this and not playing it.
Being,
that is crazy.
The source of the crying. The man goes through more hallway loops, finding messages written to someone named Lisa, as well as a photo with an eye gouged out. As the man looks above, he sees the specter of Miss Lisa missing an eye. More loops and Lisa sightings later, the hallway begins to change.
I'm so happy I'm not playing this right now and I'm only watching. Holy shit.
At one point, there's a hanging fridge dripping with blood, and soon the hallway becomes an endless series of red corners the man is forced to run
But I think they
through
never turned this into a game,
he spots
right?
a peephole into the bathroom, which he looks through and hears a grisly murder. Soon, the fetal creature starts to speak to the man about someone who got fired and drowned their sorrows in booze before their wife was forced to get a part-time job where she was apparently sexually harassed by her boss. After more loops, the man wakes up yet again in the concrete room, this time with a bloody talking bag. After he finds pieces of a torn photo and acts out several actions, a telephone in the hallway rings, and when he answers, the voice on the other end states, "You have been chosen." A voice is then heard stating that their father killed their family, but they will be coming back and bringing their new toys with them. Afterwards, we see the man from the hallway walking through Silent Hill. He takes a quick look behind him before continuing on.
Oh, I've seen the face of that man before.
This unfortunately concludes our very last visit to
the
town
that's
of
it?
Silent Hill. But as mentioned before, we have one more trip to look at.
What
a
is
re-envisioning of the first Silent Hill story, set in its very own universe, told for a different generation of players. Take it away, Jeffrey.
In winter of the year 2008, we find psychiatrist Dr. Michael Kaufman.
Oh, Michael Kaufman! This is one of the guys from the previous games, from the first games.
Preparing a drink for himself as a new patient arrives. His secretary calls to inform him that his patient is early, and he states that it's fine, and they can begin right away.
What kind of doctor drinks on the job,
Harry
bro?
Mason
Oh my god, that's
down
crazy.
An icy road before losing control.
Yeah, that's a crazy
spinning
drift.
off the road and crashing into a post.
Okay, never mind.
He unbuckles himself, but loses consciousness and falls to the ground. Kaufman starts his session with
Survival instincts, yeah.
his new patient and asks them to start at the beginning of their troubles before handing over a quick questionnaire to get to know them. After the questionnaire, Kaufman asks the patient to tell their story. It's then that we see Harry awaken, and as he stands up, he realizes his daughter Cheryl is
Cheryl!
missing from the car wreck.
Oh, right, it's a reimagining of one of the stories before. Oh, so this is going back to one of the previous games where... Oh, I see. Okay, I think this is the reimagining of the OG Silent Hill game.
He enters and explores the nearby town of Silent
Yeah,
Hill,
the names
looking for
are
his
familiar
daughter.
in my head.
He stumbles across the diner and inside meets a woman. In this case, Silent Hill police officer Sybil
Sybil.
Bennett. He tells Sybil about the crash.
Sybil, sorry,
finds
Sybil,
that
not
he cannot
Sybil.
remember much before that. Harry then hands her his ID, and they realize he lives on Levin Street. Sybil advises him to go home to check if his daughter is there, and if she isn't, to call state police in the morning. On his way home, Harry gets a call from Cheryl in which she frantically tells him that he can't fight them before advising him to run. The town then instantly becomes covered with ice, and he is soon chased by monsters and is forced to run through that same horrible game mechanic before finally escaping them, emerging through a gate to find himself at the front of his icy home. Back in Kaufman's office, the patient is asked by the doctor about their family and is then asked to color a drawing of a house just like their childhood home.
Oh,
Harry then comes up to
these like quote-unquote therapy scenes in horror games are always so creepy to me. This one, and there's I think one in FNAF as well.
his home, which is the same colors as the patient expressed in the office, and knocks on the door. A couple he doesn't recognize answers the door, and a very confused Harry begins to shout for his daughter. They say that they've lived there for 14 years before closing the door on him.
Damn.
Harry pounds on the door before Sybil arrives, having been called by the couple for being harassed. Sybil takes Harry in her car to go to the police station to figure things out, but the snowstorm gets too bad to
cat
navigate.
emoji.
Sybil
sorry.
Station to figure things out, but the snowstorm gets too bad to navigate. Sybil exits the car to get a lay of the land, but when she doesn't return, Harry is forced to leave the car and explore the nearby forest. There, he gets a call from Sybil, chastising him for leaving the car. She then tells him to come back. The forest soon turns into another icy nightmare, and Harry is forced to run from the monsters once again, this time ending up at the football field of the Midwich High School. Meanwhile, Kaufman asks his patient about high school and gives his appropriate feedback to them. At the football field, Harry gets another call from Sybil, and the pair agree to meet at the high school's gym. Harry heads through the town and explores a bit before reaching the high school campus, where he makes his way to the gym. After finding it, he is surprised to find it is set up for a reunion, while a woman performs a song on the gym stage. After the song, the woman introduces herself as Michelle Valdez, and when Harry tells her his daughter's name, Michelle reveals that she went to high school with a girl named Cheryl Mason at Midwich years ago. While Harry is initially dismissive of this claim, as his daughter is only 7 years old, Michelle shows Harry a photograph from the reunion display.
Wait, those are...
Harry denies the girl is his daughter, while Michelle states that their resemblance is far too strong to be a coincidence. The pair then head into the principal's office, where Harry cracks the password to his computer and reads Cheryl Mason's records, learning that the girl and his daughter are one in the same, and that they apparently moved to Simmons Street at some point he can't remember. Harry calls the number listed in the records, and a woman named
Dahlia again. Oh my god, this name keeps
the woman
popping
begins
up.
To panic, and suddenly the school turns into another icy nightmare.
Bro, this
Harry runs through, learning that Cheryl's classmates had bullied her and smeared her reputation. When Harry escapes the school and the nightmare, he finds Michelle waiting for him outside. The pair then walk to the nightclub where Michelle works so she can use a car to drive him to his Simmons Street address.
Okay, hang on. Is the protagonist here not gonna... Is it not suspicious that in the middle of the night, there is someone just singing in the middle of like a middle school gym? Is that not suspicious? So why is our main character blindly following this person? Hello? Classic horror game logic.
And Michelle gets a call, so she sends Harry upstairs to her room to fetch the keys to the car. He starts to receive text messages from Dahlia as he looks for the keys. He eventually finds them and returns to Michelle, and the pair talk about his wife, which confuses him, prompting him to take a moment in the restroom.
Oh, what's wrong with his wife?
When Harry returns, he finds another woman in Michelle's place. This woman introduces herself as Dahlia, and is surprised that Harry doesn't recognize her.
Dahlia again.
Dahlia then takes him outside to the SUV so they can take it to see Cheryl on Simmons Street. The pair drive off, but are soon stopped by a raised bridge. Harry gets out and enters the control room, where he is able to successfully lower the bridge. As the pair continue on, Harry presses Dahlia for answers to his current situation, but as she stops the car, she begins to freeze over.
What?
Suddenly, the bridge begins to freeze as well, and it collapses, plunging the SUV into the icy waters below. Harry tries to save Dahlia, but she doesn't move, forcing him to escape on his own, leaving her behind in the submerged
Probably for the
SUV.
best, Harry.
Harry reaches the surface, but passes out due to his exhaustion. Back in Kaufman's office, he asks his patient about how they feel regarding death. After getting their feedback and playing a little game, he asks them to get back to their story. Later in the night, Sybil finds Harry and takes him to Alchemilla Hospital. When he awakens in a wheelchair being pushed by her, he explains what happened, but Sybil states that the bridge was closed and there was no way he could have gone over it. She also confronts him about his true identity, revealing that she pulled Harry Mason's file at the station.
It's freezing over again,
Before she can finish her thought, she, along with the hospital, begin to freeze, and Harry is forced to frantically push his wheelchair to safety. After escaping this nightmare, Harry finds a crying nurse next to a crashed ambulance. This nurse introduces herself as Lisa.
Lisa! I knew I called it.
Apartment. When the pair arrive, Lisa changes out of her scrubs and lays on the couch with a headache, asking Harry to retrieve
so it's the same characters, but reimagined,
Harry's then tasked with the very hard job of remembering what somebody said mere seconds ago.
Get me some yellow ones.
And returns to Lisa with a pill, which he gives her. Kaufman then tells his patient a story before getting their opinion on who was the most and least guilty party in the story. Meanwhile, Harry leaves Lisa's apartment before continuing his journey to Simmons Street.
Okay, he's trying to find his house,
however,
right?
He gets a call from Lisa crying out for help. Harry rushes back and finds Lisa dead on her couch. That is, if he gave her the wrong color pill, because he wasn't paying attention to her when she asked for medication.
Get me some yellow ones.
Not long after he finds Lisa dead, Sybil arrives and holds him at gunpoint. She tells him that she knows he isn't Harry Mason before the apartment freezes over and another nightmare begins.
So who is?
Afterwards, Harry reaches his home on Simmons Street and enters it to find Dahlia, now somehow aged several years. She is shocked to see Harry, and he asks where Cheryl is. Dahlia states that his daughter went to the lighthouse, then reveals that she and Harry are married before she freezes over, and Harry enters another nightmare. At the end, Harry finds himself in Cheryl's bedroom, and he lays down on her bed before quickly passing out. In Kaufman's office, the doctor asks his patient about how they feel about marriage and divorce. After this conversation, Kaufman feels they're really making progress, and the patient continues on with their story. Harry is awakened by Michelle, and he asks her where the lighthouse is. Michelle offers Harry a ride from her boyfriend John to the lighthouse, and they all drive off. Michelle and John begin to argue, and John stops the car before storming off.
And John is going to
Michelle
die.
Follows, leaving Harry alone.
And Michelle is also going to die. 100%.
Harry exits and enters the sewers nearby and makes his way through to the other end, where he emerges and enters Annie's bar. Inside, Harry finds Michelle, who reveals that she and John broke up before telling Harry that he needs to find a boat at the jetty behind the lakeside amusement park. Meanwhile, Kaufman finally asks his patient about the important stuff, sexuality. He gives his opinion on their stance and feelings regarding it before doing a Rorschach test. He then flips one of the cards to surmise that on the other side of sex is death, showing a drawing of a car crash. He then has his patient finish their story. Harry makes his way through the icy amusement park, finding a docked boat on the other side. Harry enters the boat, where he is surprised to find the young version of Dahlia.
Dahlia again.
Harry tells Dahlia to take him to the lighthouse, but she asks him for something in return. She then starts the boat and lays on the bed. Harry sits next to her, and the pair kiss.
Bro, that's fucked. Huh? Okay, I'm not even gonna comment on this.
20-minute boat ride across Toluca Lake.
That's weird, but
in bed.
Okay.
Harry then awakens next to a frozen Dahlia. When he emerges from the boat, he finds the entire lake to be frozen. Harry steps out onto the frozen lake and begins to make his way to the lighthouse. On the way, the old Dahlia calls him and tells him to turn back for their daughter's sake, but he presses on. He then gets a text message from Sybil containing a mugshot of Cheryl Mason. Monsters begin to chase Harry, and he runs faster and faster to escape them. As they draw closer and closer, they begin to overwhelm him, but they're hit by the light from the lighthouse, and they are suddenly frozen in place. The lake then thaws, and Harry swims toward the lighthouse, peering under the surface to spot various rock formations in the shape of events from his past. As Harry closes in on the shore near the lighthouse, he passes out from exhaustion. Harry washes up on the shore, where he is again retrieved by Sybil. As she helps him up, Harry grabs her gun from its holster and holds the officer at gunpoint.
She literally just saved you. What is wrong with you?
Sybil states that she isn't there to stop him, and instead just wants to find the truth just as much as he does. In Harry's file, she found that he died in a car crash 18 years prior, which confuses both of them. She then tells him his answers must await inside the lighthouse, and he hands her back the gun as she walks away to let him finish his search. Harry enters the lighthouse before finding a door at the end of a hallway. He enters the doorway to find Dr. Michael Kaufman speaking with his 25-year-old daughter, Cheryl Mason. Kaufman explains to Cheryl that the story she's been telling him about her father is a fabricated one, and that she needs to move on.
What?
Her manifestation of her father then walks up to her. She then tells him that he's been with her for so long, as he simply replies, I always will be, before he himself freezes before Cheryl. Outside, Cheryl finds her mother Dahlia waiting for her.
Wait, what?
The pair then leave to start Cheryl's new life.
And with that, we come to the end of Suggestive Gaming's trip through most of the Silent Hill franchise. While we unfortunately never got to see a new beginning to the game series all those years ago, maybe someday we'll find an opportunity to travel back to Silent Hill once again.
Funny you say that, because we do have another game of Silent Hill. But anyway, that's it, bro. I've been streaming for like how many hours now? Holy.